Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Fell in Love with Inori Yuzuriha, the Angel of Death movie. Before we start, please go support EduardoKenpis for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei was a young man who realizes that he was used so that Rias would be free from her wedding commitment. The brown-haired boy decided to leave the city to calm his thoughts without knowing that path would change for the rest of his life. There he meets his true love, an angel. Chapter 1: The Origin. Millennia of years ago, a divine being created his territory that was some clouds, and on top of those clouds there was a house. The divine being entered that house and realized that he was alone and decided to create his faithful companions. Angels created his first angel, and then his other angels were born, who named him Luzbel, Michael, Gabriel, Metratone, Uriel, Azazel, Haniel, Remiel, Penemu. Those are his 9 angels, but the divine being named them as his archangels. But he knew that he was missing them. I feel like I need to create life if there is no death, he said calmly. I feel like I need to create an angel, he said calmly while closing his eyes, making the light shine in front of him. Opens her eyes and sees a person in front of her. My dear children, come, he said calmly while watching his angels arrive. I want to announce to you that today you will have a new sister. With her there would already be 10 archangels, he said calmly while hugging his new daughter. Who am I? He said in doubt. Author's note: just imagine he has his white clothes on. Your name will be Inori, you are the 10th archangel, you are the archangel of death, he said calmly. Inori, I am the archangel of death, and who are you? She said calmly. I am Elohim, your creator and your father, he said calmly. Please, my daughter, Gabriel, I entrust you with your new sister, he said calmly. Gabriel is an angel who her brothers considered her the most beautiful that her father created. Gabriel loves his brothers very much, and is willing to help in any way. She shows a big smile which gives him more encouragement every day. Gabriel, of course, father, I will gladly teach you everything, she said calmly while kneeling. Elohim, all my children can leave, he said calmly. His archangels retreated to their place left by his father, while Gabriel guided his beloved sister to see her new home. Inori, I have more brothers apart from them, she said surprised. Gabriel, that's right, our father created us together with our brothers. Let's say that each of the archangels received a new brother to guide their new path, he said happily. Inori, wait, that means it's like what just happened a while ago, she said surprised. Gabriel, that's right sister, he said happily. Look, we're here, he said happily as he watched his brothers planting beautiful flowers. Angel, look, Gabriel-sama has arrived, he said happily, causing everyone to look at that person. Gabriel, come on, don't be like that, we're brothers, we shouldn't treat each other like that, she said nervously and happily. Angel, no Gabriel-sama, we are minors, we have to show our respect just as our father taught us, she said calmly. Angel 2, Gabriel-sama, who is she? He said in doubt. Perhaps she is our new sister, he said happily. Gabriel, well, some parts are fine, but some are not. She is our new sister, but she is also the new archangel, he said happily. All the angels were surprised but still welcomed him. It's been a month since Inori learned her writing, learned to use her powers, learned more about her origin. 2 months. She still continues training with the help of her other brothers and also began to get along and gain the affection of her other brothers. 5 months later. Elohim called his angels to show him a good creation that he made. He created a world full of plants, water, light, darkness, rain, and many more things. The angels were happy and liked the creation that their father created. 8 months later. Elohim called his angels again to teach the first man created, and not only the man but also his companion, a woman. They were not the only ones born. He also created animals of different races. The angels were happy and congratulated their father for the great work. A year later. Inori has already finished her training and can now control the light, her abilities and also her knowledge. Everyone could see that they had a good time, but there is something that an angel was upset. It was none other than Lucifer. He considered himself the most beautiful being, but when he realized that only two things took away his title of the most beautiful angel, and that was one, his own sister Inori, who took his title of most beautiful and most respected angel, and the other is humans, who took away the attention he had towards Lucifer. Now all his brothers look at the other creation that his father made, so he decided to have a meeting in secret. Elohim, after knowing his behavior from his angel Lucifer, began to act strange, but still he said nothing and just limited himself to sitting on his throne. 1 year and 1 month later. Palm. An explosion was heard at the entrance to heaven caused by a confrontation that broke out. The angels defended themselves while the others killed them. The archangels could hear that battle. Michael, brothers, there is a problem. We have to stop it before it reaches our Lord, he said seriously. Even all the angels know when it comes to a serious situation, they should call him Lord instead of Father. The angels and archangels went to that place, things that were surprised. Michael, Luzbel, you who have betrayed the trust that our Lord gave you, serious cry. Lucifer, as expected, an angel tries to be a leader even though you are not known as the best, he said seriously. Michael, Luzbel, I don't care if I'm not the best creation that our Lord created us. I just follow his faith and try to teach him a good path for my brothers, he said seriously. Lucifer, stop that nonsense and fight, he said seriously as he lunges to attack him, but is easily stopped. Michael, you still have a chance to confess your sins, Lucifer, he said seriously. Lucifer, why don't you shut up and fight once and for all, he said seriously while kicking him. Michael, he stands up with difficulty but was supported by his brothers. Gabriel, brother, why are you doing that? She said worriedly. Lucifer, oh silly little sister, it's obvious that the throne belongs to me, he said with a mocking smile. Let them be evicted. A voice was heard in heaven causing the angels to be surprised while Lucifer and his comrades were upset. Michael, brothers, you've heard that we must expel you from heaven, he said seriously. Angels did not hesitate, and launched themselves at those traitor angels. A fierce battle took place. Meanwhile, on one of the 10 floors of heaven there was an angel kneeling while hugging herself. Inori, what is that feeling? Why do I feel that? She said with little fear. Elohim, do not fear my daughter, you have just awakened one of your natural abilities, he said calmly. Inori, and what is that? She said with fear. Elohim, tell me what you feel, he said calmly. Inori, I feel evil, hate, resentment, and at the same time I feel joy, happiness, and not only that, around a person I see a thread, sometimes it is dark blue or gold, she said, not very worried. Elohim, blue represents innocence, dark represents evil, and gold represents having good faith, he said calmly. And that thread that you saw represents destiny, he said calmly. Tell me the angels that are at Lucifer's side can see their thread of destiny, he said calmly. Inori, there are some that only have a short thread left, she said, surprised to see how the thread runs out while the owner of that thread receives a mortal attack causing the traitor angel to die. Elohim, tell me Inori, which side will he be on? He said calmly as he watched with hope the decision he will make. Inori, she just keeps quiet and gets up, stretches her wings and flies. Elohim, I see, so that is your destiny Inori, he said calmly while watching his angels try to stop the traitor angels, but there is something that even got serious, so that begins a new era, he said seriously. With the angels. Lucifer, after knowing how his angels that followed were dying, only had an idea. Lucifer summons a sword of light in each hand and points to his wings. Michael, what is Luzbel doing? He said surprised, causing all the angels and traitors to stop for a moment, while he looked at Luzbel. Luzbel, AAARGG, he screamed in pain while slowly cutting off his white wings. It took him a few minutes to completely cut them off. A dark tornado covered Luzbel and then he showed his new appearance. His golden armor became dark. His white wing became a plucked wing like a bat, and not only that, he also grew a large pair of horns. Everyone was surprised after seeing that scene. The angels who followed Lucifer also did the same. They cut their wings and then revealed their new appearances. Author's note: only his bat wings change. Michael, Brothers, do not be afraid, keep your faith firm towards our Lord, he said seriously while raising his sword and then pointing at Lucifer. I just heard the word of the Lord, you're Lucifer, the first angel created, you have become a demon. From now on you will be called Lucifer, he said seriously, and at the end he shouted, causing the angels to attack. Lucifer, so they will call me, serious shout, very well listen stupid people, give up that pathetic life and eliminate those insects. Annoyed shout making his men tremble a little in fear, and with that he realizes who is in charge. The traitor angels who began to call them demons attacked, but they were surprised by something. Their power increased, causing the angels to retreat. Michael, it is useless to back off, he cried seriously after knowing how his brothers were dying easily. Lucifer, he screamed seriously while looking at Lucifer from heaven, and he was also already wearing his armor. Lucifer, yes, here comes the stupid spoiled girl, come face her, Inori thigh, furious scream. Inori, TKS, gets upset as she raises a spear of light, ferociously throws the spear towards the demons. The demons saw a spear that nailed to the floor, and a few seconds later a huge explosion exploded, causing the floor to break, and the demons went silent. Some tried to fly but were stopped by the attack of the angels. Angelus. Quickly Inori Sama created an opening. We have Tio take advantage of it. We have Tio expel those demons from the sky. An angel shouted, causing everyone to attack. Lucifer, Inori, annoyed cry while attacking. Inori, Luzbel, no Lucifer, your stupidity has come too far, so you are no longer welcome in heaven, she said seriously as she begins to attack him ferociously, and then manages to give him a cut in his abdomen, causing the demon to roar in pain. Lucifer returns to your new home, she said seriously as she raises her sword and stabs it into the ground, causing it to break, and Lucifer falls, but with effort he flies away. Michael, you won't do it, he said seriously while launching an attack along with his brothers Gabriel along with Metatron and Ariel. The four of them launch an attack of great potential, causing Lucifer to fall. Lucifer, I curse you, Inori thigh, I curse you, he screamed seriously as he fell. And so it was a hard battle that happened in heaven. Chapter 2, The Origin Part 2. After a tough fight between the angels and the rebel angels, everyone retreated to heal their wounds, while some angels along with the archangels were in front of a kneeling throne. Elohim, as you will see, Luzbel, known as Lucifer, was born to rule the darkness, he said calmly. Uriel, sir, with all due respect, why didn't we eliminate it from the beginning? He said seriously. Elohim, he will have a very important role, that is why I did not tell him to kill him, but rather to expel Lucifer from heaven. With his existence, he will fulfill his role, he said calmly. Uriel, okay sir, your word is the law, he said seriously. Elohim, now you can go and rest, he said calmly. After the meeting everyone returned to their daily lives, but in the darkness they were having a bad time. Lucifer, damn Elohim, one day I will get revenge on you, and you too, Inori thigh, I hope you die of suffering and pain. Annoyed scream, listen you bunch of idiot, we have lost the battle, but this is a beginning. From now on all of you men have Tio grape each one of those women, and you women your order is Tio bring inheritors. Annoyed scream. While watching the scene, the demon men grabbed each demon woman and began to have sexual desire, while the demon women died of pleasure. While with the angels Elohim saw the human world, seeing how things were going, but for some reason he did not find his first men. Elohim, boy girl where are you? He said calmly. Boy girl where are you? He said seriously. Boy, they have called me God, he said with fear. Elohim, because he trembles with fear, he said calmly. Boy, well, it's her fault, he said with fear while pointing at the girl. Girl, I'm sorry, I didn't know that I was tricked by a snake and I ate the forbidden fruit, she said with fear. Elohim, what did they do? He said seriously while raising his voice a little. Girl, I'm sorry God, it was the snake's fault. Elohim, he looks for the snake that the girl pointed out until he realizes something. You are not an ordinary snake. Who are you? He said seriously. Snake, ha ha ha, I only did the favor that Lucifer asked me in exchange for something, he said proudly. Elohim gets upset. Lucifer screamed, causing the human world in the sky to start to fall lightning, and the sky only trembled slightly, but behind Elohim his archangels appear. Inori, do me a favor, go to the human world and expel those humans. They no longer deserve to be welcomed in my land, and they also curse them, he said seriously. Inori, yes sir, at your service, she said seriously as she disappears into a magic circle. In the human world, the two people tried to hide from the wrath of their god while a magic circle appeared behind them, and they came out innocuously. Inori, you who have betrayed our Lord from today will be expelled from this paradise because this is the land of our Lord. We do not want to have sinners like you, and you will also be cursed. You will die of hunger, you will die of pain, you will die of health, you will die of time. Now get out, she said seriously while pointing her sword, showing him a way out. The two boys obeyed and fled while Inori returned home. Gabriel, Inori-san, don't you think you left too late? She said calmly. Inori, no, that's her curse. I am death, she said calmly. Elohim, that's right, this is the destiny that humans will have, just like Lucifer. Everything is the work of destiny, and I know what is about to happen. But even if I don't do anything until that happens, I can't intervene in the destiny of this world, he said calmly. 10 years had passed. What happened in those 10 years? Well, what happened is that the boys who were expelled began to work hard to survive, and the boys also had their children. Meanwhile, in the underworld, the number of demons had increased that even Lucifer decided to create clans of the 72 pillars, which are the 72 original angels, and each of them already had almost 5 heirs, which caused the demons to increase their number. It had been almost 30 years. The human population had also increased, and even one of those humans had beautiful women, things that made the angels obtain their desire of lust, that they even disguised themselves as men and came down to the human world to fulfill their desire. In heaven, Elohim, who has been watching everything since his humans were expelled from the garden, has been seeing how his life was going, and he also kept an eye on the underworld, where he could see how the demons were increasing, but then he looks at the other side of the world, where he realizes that his angels became humans in order to satisfy their lustful desires. Elohim, Metatron, he said calmly. Metatron, yes sir, he said seriously while kneeling. Elohim, those angels who went to the human world are forbidden to enter heaven again, he said calmly. Metatron, what do I do, sir? I'll cut his wings, he said seriously. Elohim, not only break the floor and they will fall, he said calmly. Metatron, yes sir, he said calmly. After Elohim gave his order, Metatron goes to the entrance with his angels, waiting for the sinful angels to arrive until they arrived. Kokabeel, what happened, brother? Maybe there was a problem with the demons, he said calmly. Metatron, Kokabeel, follower of Azazel who has committed a sin, now you are no longer welcome to heaven. From today you will be located in the underworld, he shouted seriously as he saw all the angels who had just arrived, their wings turned into dark wings. Kokabeel, so this is how it ends, he shouts seriously while he creates his lightsaber and launches himself. Metatron, AARG, buries his sword into the ground, causing it to thunder, and then falls to pieces. Kokabeel, Shiki, annoyed scream, I will get revenge on you. Metatron, serious scream while falling. Haniel, I want you to evacuate those on the 5th floor completely. Haniel, he was the only one who heard that word, and without hesitation he went there and found Azazel and his followers. Azazel and his comrades, from today you will be thrown out of heaven for your pride of believing yourself to be more intelligent and superior than our Lord, he said seriously while he saw how the angels began to blink their wings, until they turned into dark wings. Angel, TKS, better shut up, he said seriously while trying to attack but was stopped in the air. Let me go, he said seriously while looking at Haniel, who was stretching out his arm, giving the signal that he was the one who stopped him. Haniel falls, he said seriously while nailing the floor, and it breaks, causing Azazel and his companions to fall, and then he sees how Angel tried to attack and only limited himself to lowering his hand while he sees how the angel falls. It had been 2 months. Elohim only saw how the angels fought to see who was stronger, and sees that Azazel wins the title of leader, and the other part saw how the angels tempted the pure angels, making their wings turn dark. Not only was he limited to seeing humans, he also saw the demons, also the fallen angels, and also the new gods who were born thanks to the beliefs of humans. Of course, Elohim did not get involved in the affairs of other false gods according to Elohim, but there was something that he concentrated on was the dragons on the first day he found out about the dragon races. Elohim became enraged, creating a curse for the dragons, but then he realized that it was a threat to all existence, and did not hesitate to seal it. And 3 months later, on the 4th floor, Inori was seen sitting watching a flower who was pulling its petal one by one until she felt a chill which caused her to get up and create a magic circle to see what was happening. Inori, those demons started killing humans, she said seriously, and then goes to see her sister Gabriel. Gabriel, what's wrong, Inori-san? Why are you serious? He said in doubt. Inori, the demons have started killing humans, she said seriously. Gabriel, why? She said surprised. Inori, come on, let's go see our father, she said seriously. Gabriel, yes, he said seriously. Inori along with Gabriel went to see her father and give him that news, which Elohim took lightly. Gabriel, father, aren't you worried about your creations? She said worriedly. Elohim, yes, I am worried, but I already knew that. It is the future that they saw on the way. But even so, I will go to save the humans, he said calmly, and then sees an angel with a trumpet. He calls all the angels, he said calmly. Angel, yes, he said calmly while playing the trumpet, calling all the angels. After they met, Elohim explained the situation, and even if the angels supported his decision, they came down from heaven to fight the demons. The fallen angels, Kokabeel, who heard the battle between demons and angels, did not hesitate to attack both races, causing the demons and angels to also attack the fallen angels. Azazel, who found out about his stupidity from a soldier in his band, did not hesitate to attack him as they were being attacked, and that was how he was born. The Great Biblical War. A year has already passed since the war lasted a year, and in this year the other bands joined forces to defeat the red and white celestial dragon. Elohim took advantage of its soul and sealed it to give a gift to the humans so that they could defend themselves from the attacks of demons and fallen angels. After having joined forces, they continued with their war. In the sky, Inori was seen sitting at a table that was a meeting table talking about a strategy to stop her enemies. At that table the only archangels left were Michael, Gabriel, Metatron, Haniel, Uriel, Inori. They are the only archangels left in heaven. Inori, out of nowhere he gets up. Michael, what's wrong, sister? He said calmly. Inori, I feel a death blow from the humans, she said seriously while at the table she creates a magic circle and the only thing she sees are humans running trying to save their lives, but out of nowhere they are covered in fire. If it was an attack, a dragon attack. Gabriel, oh my God, she said scared. Michael, father, he said seriously. Elohim, so there are more celestial dragons but their energy is more corrupt than the red and white dragon, he said seriously. It is obvious we will not go to eliminate those dragons. Elohim along with his angels went to stop those dragons. Of course it had a high price to sacrifice his angels. It took a few days until it was fulfilled to capture him, and they sealed his soul. After a few months, an angel who was losing control, and that was Inori, whose energy had become corrupted, attacked his brother angels. Gabriel and Michael joined forces to stop him and succeeded, but Dura and Hadiel, who wanted to expel Inori, were unable to do so. Hadiel, she is no longer welcome in heaven. Didn't you see the massacre she did to our brothers? He said seriously while pointing at Inori's head. Inori, she was crying for what she did and she was kneeling while on her head she felt the tip of the sword. Michael, Hadiel, she was controlled. That's what we saw a while ago, he said seriously trying to calm Hadiel. Gabriel, brother, please forgive her, she would never do that, she said worried. Elohim, I do not wish to see her die nor do I wish to be thrown into the underworld. The only thing left for me is to be sealed, he said a little sadly. Hadiel, it feels bad to see his father like that. Inori, better kill me, she said while crying. Elohim, I can't, you have a very important role in the future, he said sadly. Inori, Better kill me, in the end no one will want to be with me, she said while crying. Elohim, that's right, no one will be with you, he said sadly, making Inori cry more, but one day a person will come who will accompany you everywhere. That person will be the one who will respect you and love you more than anything. That's why I want you to be sealed, he said sadly. Inori, after hearing what he said, I just accept it. Elohim, forgive me, when will you wake up? I will no longer be there to welcome you, he said in a low voice, trying to make sure only Inori could hear him, and then he sealed his angel and sent him to the human world, placing him in a place very hidden from human existence and war. At the present time, a chestnut tree was seen sitting, while in front of it I saw the angel. Wow, I can't believe all that had to happen, he said surprised. That's what you told me you were called, she said seriously. I'm sorry, my name is, he said sadly. Hiya to Issei. Chapter 3, The Alliance. You could see two people sitting, a girl and a boy. Inori, well, tell me how you found me, she said seriously. Issei, I was just walking and found this cave. I was curious to go in, and that's where I found a white ball of energy, he said calmly. Inori, she was looking for a suspicion of lying, but when she saw that Issei was telling her the truth, she didn't hesitate to trust. Well, I told you about myself, now explain to me about yourself, she said seriously. Issei also told her that his life from the beginning was that of an ordinary human, and also explained that day that he was tricked by a fallen angel to be killed by her, but shortly after a demon named Rias revived him acting as a demon. Issei, he sees a spear of light that is very close to his throat. Wait a moment, he said scared. Inori, a demon, they are my enemies, she said seriously. Issei, yes, but I am not one of those who kill their enemies. In fact, I even realize that you do not have enough control over their light, he said scared. Inori, how did you know? She said seriously. Issei, well, the truth is I just wanted to tell you that a friend told me, he said scared while showing his hand. Inori, one hand, she said seriously. Issei, no, I mean that, he said scared while summoning his priest Greer. Inori, that presence is your red dragon of domination, she said seriously. Drake, oh, it's nice to see you again, he said nervously, surprising Issei. Inori, I don't know why my father sealed you, he would be better off dead, she said seriously. Drake, well, it's nice to be received that way, he said nervously, but changing the subject, your presence is not the same as in the past. Before I had an overwhelming presence, he said nervously. Issei, wait, how strong was that? He said surprised. Drake, yes, he said nervously. Inori, well, that's fine, but you're right. I've lost my light control and my powers, she said seriously. Issei, well, why don't we change the subject and we can leave, he said nervously while pointing to the exit. Drake, wait partner, don't you forget something, he said seriously. Issei, he was confused but then realized what she meant. It's true, I forgot, it's almost in Rias Gremory and Sona Citri's territory, he said seriously. Inori, Gremory and Citri are not supposed to become extinct, she said seriously. Issei, what do you mean, he said confused. Inori, nothing, I just got confused with someone else, she said seriously. Drake, partner, don't forget that today there will be a peace deal, he said seriously. Inori, a peace deal, what are you referring to? She said seriously. Issei, so according to what they say there will be a peace treaty between the angels, fallen angels and demons, he said seriously. That happened because last week we had an attack by Kokobeel, and he was also the one who told us about the death of God and the Satans, he said seriously. Inori, I see, that explains why I don't feel Father's presence, although it doesn't surprise me about Satans. But even if Kokobeel was one of the angels that disgusted me the most, even when he was an angel, she said seriously. Issei, you know, I don't know if they told you, but you are beautiful when illuminated by the moonlight, he said calmly while looking at how beautiful she was. Inori, Jujujuju, thanks for those words, but it won't be easy to make me fall with those words, she said happily and then hits Issei on the head with her spear. Issei, even if he doesn't have control over his power, his light can be deadly for demons, he said in pain while rubbing the place where he received the blow as it almost caught fire a little. He receives Gremory's call. If I'm already there, it's not necessary for him to come for me. I'm already close. If we meet, he said without interest. Inori, it's that demon, she said seriously. Issei, the meeting is about to start. Tell me, will you go or stay? He said seriously. Inori, of course I'll go. Maybe I'll meet my brother, she said seriously as she walks to the exit. Issei, well, let's go, he said calmly as he walked outside. Issei along with Inori walked to the place where the meeting was going to take place while Inori was captivated by the place, which surprised her since it was not the same as in the past. She also saw how there were many families living happily while Inori said that the place is no longer the same as before the house of stick and straw. They walked a good while until they reached that place. Inside the building you could see several groups at the table. You could see 2 demon leaders who were Surzek's Lucifer and his partner Seraphol. On the other side was a fallen angel who was Azazel who was smiling, and lastly was Michael with his sister Gabriel. Not only were the leaders there, each one had their people and bodyguards. On the part of demons, Graphia, Queen of Lucifer, Rias Gremory along with her entourage, Sona Citri along with her entourage. By fallen angels, a dragon boy. By angels, Irina Angel E. Michael, Griselda Angel of Gabriel. Everyone was waiting for the meeting to start. Surzek's, Rias, where is Issei-kun? He said in doubt. Rias, I'm sorry Lucifer-sama, I called him and I was even going to bring him by teleportation but he refused and said he was already on his way, he said seriously. Surzek's, MMIC, he said as if nothing happened. Croc. A slight movement is heard at the door, and the brown-haired man is seen entering while behind him was a hooded man. Issei, I'm sorry for my delay, he said calmly. Surzek's, not at all Issei-kun, thank you for coming, he said calmly. Well, now we can start the meeting. First I will go with Azazel. Tell me what you were thinking. Did he want a new war? He said seriously while looking at the aforementioned. Azazel, not at all. I already knew that Kokabil was up to something, he said boredom. Seraphol, even if you didn't stop him, she said seriously. Azazel, I wanted to know how far Kokabil could go, and remember that because of him my people were involved in the war, he said seriously. Michael, but even if thanks to those young demons along with my exorcist they fought and collaborated together despite being enemies by law, together they used their strength to avoid a war, he said calmly. Like the last time we joined forces to stop the celestial dragons, he said calmly while remembering that battle. Surzek's, well, Michael is right, he said seriously. Azazel, you know what, it's better to stop talking nonsense. I'd better propose this, a peace seal forever. There's no need to fight again. This world keeps turning without the presence of God and the Satans. What are you saying? He said calmly. Michael, I propose peace, he said calmly. Surzek's, well, the demons also agree to peace, he said seriously. Azazel, well, now I just have to listen to the 2 opinions Security and Hakuryuku say, he said calmly. Valley, I don't mind peace as long as I can fight with powerful beings, he said as if nothing. Azazel, you can even do it when there is peace, he said calmly, and well, hi to Issei, he said calmly. Issei, I choose peace. In a war I won't be able to enjoy my life, he said seriously. Azazel, ha ha ha, well, now tell me who is that person next to you, hi to Issei, he said calmly. Issei, if you want, ask her directly, he said calmly while moving away from her a little. Azazel, you said them, is she a woman? He said with a smile making Rias feel jealous. It's been a while since we last saw each other, Michael. Gabriel, she said seriously while taking off her shirt. Michael, impossible, he said surprised. Gabriel, how? He said while trying not to cry. Albion, you're supposed to be dead, he said nervously and with a little fear, surprising his bearer. Azazel, we're already in hell, he said, slightly scared and a little afraid. Surzek's, impossible, he said surprised. Seraphol, it is supposed to be, she said surprised while getting up from the chair. Graphia, It was a legend, she said, surprised, while standing next to Surzex with the intention of protecting her master. All the young people were very confused by the way the leaders acted. Chapter 4: The Angel of Death and a Surprise Attack. The room looked surprised and at the same time scared. Young people did not understand what was happening until one decided to speak up. Sona, Seraphal-sama, what's going on? She said in doubt. Seraphal, tell me, have you studied about war? She said seriously. Sona, yes, she said in doubt. Seraphal, there is a part where it explains about an angel who brought terror to the demons and the fallen angels, she said seriously. Sona, yes, the angel who terrified the demons and the fallen, that angel was named as, she said seriously while trying to remember, but it only took a few seconds for her face to change with fear. Impossible, she said with a little fear. Rias, hey Sona, what's going on? She said surprised. Seraphal, tell me, have you studied about war? He said seriously. Rias, I don't know what you're talking about, she said with a nervous smile. Graphia, that explains why you've been sneaking out during the classes I was giving at the Gremory house, right? She said seriously. Rias, okay, please, and that was very boring. She said, a little bored. Sona, Rias, she said, a little upset. Do you remember what I told you about the war? She said seriously. Rias, yes, she said as if nothing happened. Sona, I had explained to you about a dangerous angel, she said while getting angrier. Rias, yes, she said as if nothing happened. Sona, I told you to be careful before meeting that angel, she said seriously while holding back from screaming. Rias, yes, because, he said as if nothing. Sona, you are an idiot. That angel who talked to you that day is in front of our noses, the angel known as the Angel of Death, she screamed seriously and annoyed, causing her entourage along with Rias to move away from Sona while Rias just limited herself to covering her ears. Rias, the Angel of Death, she said nervously as she understood what was happening and then looked at Angel who was next to her was Issei. Issei, get away from her, she screamed seriously, you see her scared. Please. Everyone hit their head with their hand. Surzex, I'm so sorry, that just happened because Rias had escaped from class, he said with a nervous smile. Rias, Anasama, blushes. Michael, Inori little sister, it's good to see you again, he said happily as he walked towards Inori to hug her but then received a good blow to the head. He moaned in pain. Gabriel, sister Inori, he said happily while hugging her. Michael, hey, why are you hitting me? And she hugs you, he said a little sad. Irina, she is surprised since she had heard about it. Griselda, she is also surprised. Azazel, how are you still alive? He said seriously. Inori, I don't have to give you details, she said seriously. Griselda, she was trying to remember what sound she said until she realized. Impossible, she said surprised. Irina, Griselda-sama, what's going on? She said in doubt, seeing Griselda all nervous. Griselda, do you remember what Gabriel-sama said about an angel who was not in heaven and is now in front of us? Is she the angel of death who was not in heaven? She said surprised and at the same time a little scared. Inori, and who are they? She said in doubt, looking at the two angels who were next to her leader. Gabriel, now they are Irina-san and Griselda-san, our reincarnated angels, he said happily. Griselda/Irina. She realizes what just happened and both kneeled down to Inori. Forgive us for not introducing ourselves, she said nervously. Inori, it's nothing, get up, she said calmly. Paawag. Both angels were going to get up but everyone falls to the ground since there was an explosion, but at the same time the atmosphere changes. Michael, that's it, he said in doubt. Azazel, so they used that vampire boy to stop time, he said seriously. Surzek, okay, everyone else, he said seriously as he looked at his comrades. Kiba, I'm sorry Surzek-sama, it was only Zenobia-san, Akeno and Bucho who were not affected, he said in doubt while looking at his friends. Azazel, first the sacred sword, he said seriously looking at Zenobia and Irina along with Griselda carrying a sacred sword. The other is the sacred gear Kiba Yuto, the holy demonic sword hider Issei boosted gear, and Vala the divine dividing, he said seriously, trying to explain to the beginners. Inori, holy demons, that was one of the signs of the death of God and Satan, she said seriously. Kiba, I'm so sorry Inori-sama, I didn't mean to awaken that power, he said nervously while leaning forward. Inori, it's not okay, it wasn't your intention, it was your destiny, she said seriously. Kiba, my destiny is telling me that I already knew what that old shit was doing. Tell me why you didn't do anything, why you didn't help us no matter how much I asked, he said, annoyed while being stopped by Rias and Akeno. Inori, she says it as if you were easy. I was sealed by the god, she said seriously, causing everyone who didn't know to be surprised. Tell me, are you going to be standing for so long or are you going to go in? She said seriously while looking back. TKS for a dirty pigeon to detect me, she said seriously. Seraphal, Levi-chan, why are you doing that? She said surprised. Everyone is in position to attack him, but they did nothing. He was expelled by an explosion. The leaders protect everyone who was inside. Azazel, who proposed to end the life of Kateria Leviathan, while Rias went with Akeno and Kiba to cancel the stop of time. At first Issei asked to go, but he refused, making Akiba go. Zenobia along with Irina and Issei fought against the magicians who tried to break the barrier. Gabriel, sister, it is not certain that you will fight. After all, we do not know how much you lost control of the power of light, she said seriously. Inori, he only limited himself to seeing Issei. Gabriel, she who is using her power to read Inori's heart, realizes that Inori is starting to get a little interested, which she smiled at. Inori, what's wrong? Why are you laughing? She said in doubt. Gabriel, it's nothing, he said with a smile. It only took a few minutes for everyone to return to normal. The young demons who were affected by time joined together to finish the battle faster. Meanwhile, Azazel, who had lost an arm through carelessness, also ended his battle by killing Kateria in an instant. Everyone gathered together, but Azazel was brutally sent to the ground. Azazel, what's happening, Vala? He said as if nothing happened while leaving the character. Valley, it's very boring, Azazel, he said, boring. Azazel, hey Vala, one of my subordinaries told me about a terrorist group, I think they call it, he said as if nothing happened while he closes his eyes and then opens his eyes. Kausbriads, he said seriously. Surzex, Kausbriads, he said seriously. Valley, yes, I also listened to that group and believe me, being on this side is more fun than being here, he said seriously. Besides, I am a miracle given by the dead god, he said seriously. Rias, a miracle, she said seriously. Valley, my real name is Vala Lucifer, grandson of the original Lucifer, and at the same time I am Hakuryuku, he said seriously, and then changes his gaze. Hi to Issei, you are a rival who is too weak that I don't even feel like fighting with you or laughing. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that you are still a simple human, he said disappointed. Inori, Lucifer, she said seriously while getting upset, and that was seen by Gabriel and Michael. Issei, what do you mean? He said seriously. Valley, tell me, so that you can obtain greater power, you should become an Avenger. No Haidu Issei, he said seriously while preparing the attack. What do you think if I attack your dear friends? He said seriously while launching the attack on the Gremry group. Issei, he didn't care what was happening to Rias and her servants, he just stood in the same place. Surzex, Issei, why didn't you protect your master? He said seriously. Vela, oh, so you don't let them provoke you, eh? He said seriously. Tell me what would happen if I go where your useless parents are, who gave birth to a son who is the bearer of the red dragon was useless, he said seriously. Issei, take back what you said, dude, he said annoyed. Valley, you're already angry, he said seriously. Issei, I said take back what you said, Hakuryuku, annoyed scream while activating his balance breaker for a limited time. Vi, if that's it, come and kill me, he said with a smile. Issei, you will be, annoyed cry as he launches himself to attack Vala. Everyone stood still as they watched the power of Sekiryutai and Hakuryuku released on the battlefield. Azazel watched with a smile. Surzex and Seraph just limited themselves to watching the battle. Rias, who was about to go to help Issei but was stopped by Issei and the angels Michael along with Gabriel, only wish Issei good luck for the battle, while Inori still does not take off her seriousness, as she still remembers that day when they were interrupted in the war because of those dragons. Valley, come on Hayadu Issei, show me your true power, he said seriously while giving Issei several blows covered in demonic magic. Issei, Vala Lucifer, you will pay for offending my cursed parents, he said annoyed while attacking and increasing his strength. Valley, ha ha ha, so it's the famous red boost, he said with a smile. Red and white are opposite poles, just like the boost power and divine dividing are opposite poles, he said seriously. Issei, that, he said confused. Drake, buddy, what you just said is that I increase my power every 10 seconds while Blanco divine dividing our power every 10 seconds, he said seriously. Issei, in short, if he touches me, my power is reduced, he said seriously. Drake, impossible, I had already touched you since the fight started, he said seriously. Issei, what, he said surprised. Valley, divine dividing, she said with a proud smile as she watched Issei lose his strength in half. Issei, damn, he said annoyed as he sees his power being divided. Valley, I know that it is not all your power, Hayadu, he said seriously while looking down and seeing an angel who is almost separated from his brother. I still remember that angel came with the gem. I will try, he said seriously. Albion, attacking that angel could be fatal. That angel fought to defeat me, and don't forget that you are a demon. His light is stronger than another angel, he said seriously. Valley, we won't lose anything if we try, he said seriously while preparing his long-range attack and launching towards that angel. Issei, he is almost close to the ground since he was not flying high to avoid receiving other hits, and divides his power more, but he still sees the intention he had and looks towards Inori, who takes out her sword of light and heads towards her. Inori, who saw Vala's attack, prepares to defend but was protected by someone who was none other than Issei. Hey, why are you here? She said seriously. Issei, your weakness doesn't have to be discovered, he said in a low voice so that only Inori could hear it. Vala, you've already made me get more annoyed by attacking even angel like just now. That's already cowardly. Annoyed cry. Vala, who is surprised by the speed and at the same time excited since the real battle is about to begin. Chapter 5, Peace and a New Life for Inori. The brown-haired boy looked very upset and did not hesitate to increase his power even more. Vala, yes, show me that power you have, he said seriously and with a smile. Issei, bucket, he said annoyed as he goes straight to Vala and starts attacking him. Vala, the speed and power of the Ascalon sword is surprised. Inori, that sword, she said in surprise. Gabriel, Michael Anasama gave it to Issei-kun a few days ago before the faction meeting, he said happily. Albion, Vala, you better take Ascalon from a distance. It's the sword that killed us. Besides being sacred, it's totally harmful to you for being a demon and a dragon, he said seriously. Vala, but he is also a demon, he said seriously. Albion, I know, but he can hold the sword thanks to the help of Yoningrar, he said seriously. Issei was still fighting with Vala. His power even increased more, and it even occurred to him to nail Ascalon and give him more power. Issei, let's see how long those damn wings last, he said annoyed. Albion, Vala, it is necessary to move away since it is suffering from an overload, he said seriously. Vala, that's interesting, huh, he said with a smile. The others are watching the battle. Even some low-class demons feel nervous and you see fear since they never imagined seeing a battle between two dragons that were considered the most fearsome by the gods. Momo, there is so much pressure even though we are far away, she said nervously. Sona, so that is the real battle of two celestial dragons. That shows that we should not underestimate the powers of those celestial dragons, she said seriously. With the dragons. Vala, amazing Hayadu, you are impressive even though you are weak, he said seriously. Issei, as people say, you shouldn't underestimate the cover of a book, he said seriously. Vala, yes, you are right, and that is why I will do that, he said seriously while stretching and pointing his palm towards the school. Issei, he is surprised at what is happening. Drake, what is that? He said seriously. Drake, It is a white technique which makes the surroundings reduce in size. Valley, he continued doing it but then stops and looks to the left. Albion, what is that presence? He said seriously. Issei, what's wrong? Why did you stop? He said seriously. Drake, partner, look at that place where he is looking white, he said seriously and at the same time annoyed. Issei, what do you mean by that? He said in doubt as I headed to that place. With the leaders. Everyone was left in doubt as they stopped out of nowhere. Rias, what's happening? Why did they stop? She said in doubt. Azazel, how strange, a battle of celestial dragons doesn't stop until one of the two falls or at least something catches their attention, he said seriously while looking at the dragons. Inori, who is looking at the same place where the celestial dragons are looking. Gabriel, sister, what's wrong? Did you feel something? He said in doubt. Inori, evil, she said seriously as if nothing were happening, causing everyone to get confused. Something evil is coming, she said seriously. Everyone is confused and weird at the same time. Rias, maybe a screw in his head came loose or what, he said seriously. Sona, she is surprised and scared at the same time. Rias, have a little more respect, she screams, annoyed and serious. Inori, the evil presence disappeared, she said seriously. Croc. It seems that something fell from the sky and it was nothing more and nothing less. Valley, what's happening? He said seriously. Baiko, the north is about to start and needs your presence, he said seriously. Issei, who is this guy? He said seriously. Azazel, he is a Baiko, he said calmly if nothing. Valley, Ju comes back stronger. Hiya to Issei, he said seriously as he retreated with Baiko. Michael, haha, that battle is finally over thanks to father, he said with a sigh. Azazel, any Issei, tell me you were looking at that place, he said with a smile while putting on a curious and gossipy face. Michael, Inori-san, tell me you felt an evil presence, but can you know who it could be or what it is about, he said seriously. Issei, Inori also felt it, he said in surprise. Inori, it was an evil presence that belongs to a dragon, she said seriously. Everyone remained silent as they never imagined being spied on by a dragon. Michael, thank God that dragon didn't attack us, he sighed. Surzex, then this is how we are, he said seriously. Azazel, so today this stupid and boring war ends, he said seriously. Michael, well, at least I think a new era will begin, he said calmly. After a talk, everyone separated a few meters to be able to talk to their people and tell them that peace was declared and accepted by the three factions. Some soldiers celebrated with joy while some lowered their weapons and kept in a dimension. Azazel, hey Michael Surzex, come here, there's something I want to tell you, he said seriously. The aforementioned were confused but they approached anyway. Azazel, Surzex just wanted to ask to let Inori into the academy, he said seriously. Surzex, why do you tell her? Do you want to threaten my sister? He said seriously. Azazel, no, you idiot and bucking Siscon, haven't they taught you that you should listen first and then give your opinion, he said seriously with a neutral face. I just want Inori to enjoy her youth, he said seriously while looking at Inori talking to Issei since Inori was watching a little bird feeding its young. Surzex, why do you say that? He said in doubt. Michael, Inori has spent almost her entire life training and learning until the day she was sealed, she said sadly. Azazel, what I want is for Inori, who is still a very childish girl, to have fun with life as a young woman since the three of us are already old, plus Michael and I. Surzex still appears to be somewhere between old and adult, he said with a smile. Surzex, okay, I'll tell Seraphal, although I think it would be a bit difficult for me, you know how she is. But I can ask you something, Azazel, he said calmly, because it helps Inori-sama. What is the reason for asking that? He said seriously. Azazel, we may be from different sides but I still see her as a little sister, that's why I want her to enjoy her youth and I want to see the progress between her and Issei, he said with a smile while looking at Issei being pulled by Inori so she can see him next to a parrot that came down to eat. Michael, I don't know why I feel that those two will be more than friends, he said happily. Sirs, I don't know why I feel like Rias lost her pawn, he said calmly. After a discussion about this, 3 leaders all went home, but before that, they repaired the school. Another day later, all the students were left with their mouths open. Men, it can't be seen, he said with shock. A goddess fell from the sky, they shouted with joy. Women, that girl is more beautiful, she even surpasses one Sama Rias Gremory, she said in shock. Such a beautiful one Sama under the sky, she cried with tenderness and at the same time with little envy for her beauty. Because a good scandal, you see, Sirs kept his word, although it was a bit costly work for Sarah Fall, who she had refused, but in the end she left him. Inori, who was entering the school while being seen by all the students who were there, walks towards the principal's office. Know if before being accompanied by Momo on Sona's orders to guide the principal and then guide her to her corresponding classroom. After a long time, Momo accompanies Inori to her classroom. Momo, who knocks on the door and calls the teacher to explain the things that the teacher accepted. Teacher, attention students, we have to welcome a transfer student. Can you come in? He said calmly. The students remained still, but then their reaction changed, causing them to shout with joy. Teacher, hey, calm down, he said seriously. Can I introduce you? He said calmly. Inori, my name is Inori Yuzuriha, nice to meet you, she said calmly. Student, I have a question, do you have a boyfriend? She said happily. Inori, boyfriend, she said in doubt and confused. Student, where do you live so you can visit us? She said happily. Teacher, okay, for real, we have to continue with class. Yuzuriha, take a seat. We have to continue with class, he said calmly. Inori, she didn't say anything, she just nodded and walked towards the place. Hello, see you again, Issei, she said calmly. Issei, who was looking at the window and didn't notice that Inori came in to introduce herself, he only realized when she spoke to him. Hello, Inori-san, he said calmly. Inori, the seat is taken, she said doubtfully and calmly. Issei, sure, you can take the seat, he said calmly as he watched Inori sit down. The living room was left in an atmosphere, and at the same time in shock. The living room, what teach-ee, they shouted out of nowhere. Issei just had to sigh as he knew the trouble that would come in a few minutes. Chapter 6. That's what happened. The entire classroom is left with their mouths open as no one expected Issei to meet the new classmate. Moto-sama, damn Issei, what did you do to make her know you? He said seriously and upset while crying. Matsuma, you are a traitor, he said while crying. Student, it can't be, Inori-san is being cornered by the pervert, she said with fear. Student, don't you dare put a hand on me, damn it, he said angrily. Teacher, you can all keep quiet now or I will punish you all with homework for a month, annoyed shout causing the students to sit down and remain silent. Outside in the building, a black-haired girl was seen together with an adult. Ha 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 ha, I didn't think it was fun on the first day, laughed out loud. Please Azazel, that was a big scandal, she said seriously. Azazel, oh come on, don't be mad, Sona, he said with a smile. In the living room. It was already time for recess. Inori, Issei, I don't know that place very well, would you mind showing me? She said calmly. Issei, yeah sure, don't worry, he said calmly, after all, you still aren't used to that way of life, he said in a low voice so that only Inori could hear it. After Issei agrees to teach Inori around the academy, the two walk down the hall while being watched by the students, but Issei and Inori still ignored them. The entire recess period passed until he was arrested. Murayama, stop right there, you damn pervert, what have you done to Yuzuriha-san? She said seriously while pointing her wooden katana at Issei's face. Kates, Yuzuriha, come on, we'll save you from that pervert, she said seriously while looking at Issei. Inori, Issei is a pervert, she said in doubt. Who is perverted, she said in doubt. Issei, well the truth, he said nervously. Kate/Murayama, she is confused about what Inori said. Issei, okay, forgive me for what I'm going to do, he said nervously while grabbing Inori's hand and running. Inori, he is surprised by what just happened, but even if he didn't say anything, he stopped being pulled by Issei. Kates, Hayada let go, do you want to grape her? She screams annoyed while following him. Murayama, I will destroy you if anything happens to Yuzuriha, she screams angrily while following him. Issei, who managed to lose sight of the girls, forgive me Inori-san, he said nervously. Inori, I didn't hear what Issei said as I was just looking at the hand where Issei was still holding her. Issei realizes the reason why Inori didn't listen to him. Forgive me, he shouted nervously while letting go of his hand. Inori, there's nothing, she said calmly while holding her hand and blushing a little. Issei and Inori stayed in a very uncomfortable environment, but then heard the bell for the end of recess. Both had to return to start their classes again until the end of class time. Issei and Inori were called by Kiba, who accompanied them to the occult club. When they arrived, they saw Rias upset to see Azazel sitting in the presidential chair of this club. Azazel, the reason you didn't feel me is because of lack of training, he said with a smile. Issei, it's very strange to see you there, Azazel, he said as if nothing had happened. Azazel, more respect boy, here I am Azazel-sensei, he said calmly. Rias, wait, I'm not done talking yet, she said seriously. Azazel, well, that was a request from Surzex, he said as if nothing. Rias, from Anasama, she said incredulously. Azazel, yes, he told me to consult with Sona first, but she refused, so I told him to change my place with Seraph, and she changed her mind, he said with a smile. Rias, so you basically sold us Sona, she said seriously. Sona, I had no other choice, she said seriously while looking away. Azazel, well, whatever, but I also have another request. Well, actually, I have a lot from Surzex. First, it is Inori. From today, you will have to move to Issei's house, he said with a smile. What? It was a cry from all the members as well as Sona and her entourage. Rias, I refuse, I don't allow that, she said seriously and upset. Azazel, it's an order from Surzex, he said seriously. Rias, Yug, she said annoyed. Asia, so Inori-sama will come to Issei-san's house, she said with teary eyes. Issei, I already missed what he was talking about, he said as if nothing happened. Drake, if you are a huge idiot, I never imagined having a carrier like you, he said seriously and speaking through Issei's mind. Issei, I'm sorry, he said in his mind defeated while he feels like an arrow pierces him saying stupid. Rias, TKS, she said annoyed. Sona, I hope you don't say anything stupid, she said nervously knowing how her friend is, all distrustful. Azazel, the other is that heaven sends its angel too and that he also moves into Issei's house, he said calmly. All another girl and besides being an angel, he said neutral because he didn't know what to say. You, he said happily as he enters the room. Asia/Zenobia, Irena, said surprised. Irena, yes, I was the one who was sent by Michael-sama. So Inori-sama is at your service, she said happily. Inori, greetings Irena-san, she said calmly. Irena, can I ask you something if it's not too much trouble? She said in doubt and nervous. Inori, tell me, she said calmly. Irena, how did she meet Issei-kun? She said in doubt. After the question, he was even more interested in Azazel. Inori, I really don't know, she said calmly, causing everyone to get confused. When I woke up I saw Issei in front of me, she said in doubt, trying to remember. Irena, well, Issei, what is your version? She said in doubt. Issei, the truth is that, she said a little confused while sitting next to Inori, who was also sitting on the club chair. I wanted to clear my mind in the forest, but for some reason a yawn resonated. I asked Drake, but he told me that he didn't feel it, he said seriously, making everyone listen very attentively. Days before the meeting. The chestnut was seen walking in the forest with boredom. Issei, it's so boring. At first I thought it would be great, but now I realize Rias's true face, he said with a sigh. He groaned in pain while grabbing his arm. What's wrong, Drake? Why does your arm hurt? He said through his mind. Derek, but I felt that nothing changed, young Greer, he said seriously. So shut up and let me sleep, he said annoyed. Issei, Ja still does not want to get along with me, he said in doubt, waiting for Drake's answer but received nothing. Well, what does it matter, I'll go for a walk, he said calmly. You again the pain, he said in pain. I don't know why I feel like my arm is saying to go to the crack, he said in doubt while walking to a crack but a wrong step. Falls into the abyss, Aowiwa, he screamed while falling until, there hey that hurt, he said in pain as he opens his eyes. Thanks to his night vision he could see that he was touching the floor with his head, but he also realizes that his head landed on a stone. Aorarg that hurt, he said in pain as he sees the stone that split in two. What is that place? He was in doubt as he got up and walked. Issei had fallen into a dangerous place, a place where if a human falls he does not survive. But Issei did not care and continued walking, but the deeper he went he smelled humidity and cold because he was never touched by the sun, but on his way he saw a small light. With curiosity the brown-haired boy walks towards the light and sees that it was a sphere covered in light. Issei, how strange that light, I feel a little burning because I am a demon, but it does not burn or hurt me. Hey Drake, do you have any idea about that? He said in doubt but received no answer. Ha ha ha, well what else do you give? He said with a sigh, but for some reason he feels that the same sphere is calling him. Out of curiosity he touched it, which the sphere breaks. He said in panic, but then changes his look to one of surprise when he sees a girl sleeping deeply. Wait, and that girl? He said in doubt as he approaches and touches the girl, which he sees gives the signal to wake up. Of what happened? She said sleepily. Issei, excuse me, who are you? He said in doubt. Inori Yuzuriha, the angel of death, she said seriously. Issei, wow, I didn't know there was an angel of death. I've never heard of that angel, he said in doubt. Tell me how you were created. I'm just curious. I never understood the creation of angels, he said in doubt. Drake, what a stupid thing you did, idiot, he said, annoyed through Drake's mind. Issei, what did I do now? He said in his mind as if nothing happened, showing how innocent what just happened is. Inori, well, the truth is that, she said seriously. It took almost an hour and a half for Inori to tell about the creation of heaven and the underworld, which is why Chestnut was totally surprised. Inori, well, tell me how you found me, she said seriously. Issei, I was just walking and found this cave. I was curious to go in, and that's where I found a white ball of energy, he said calmly. Inori, she was looking for a suspicion of lying, but when she saw that Issei was telling her the truth she didn't hesitate to trust. Well, I told you about myself, now explain to me about yourself, she said seriously. Issei also told her that his life from the beginning was that of an ordinary human, and also explained that day that he was tricked by a fallen angel to be killed by her, but shortly after a demon named Rias revived him acting as a demon. Issei, he sees a spear of light that is very close to his throat. Wait a moment, he said scared. Inori, a demon, they are my enemies, she said seriously. Issei, yes, but I am not one of those who kill their enemies. In fact, I even realize that you do not have enough control over their light, he said scared. Inori, how did you know? She said seriously. Issei, well, the truth is I just wanted to tell you that a friend told me, he said scared while showing his hand. Inori, one hand, she said seriously. Issei, no, I mean that, he said scared while summoning his priest Greer. Inori, that presence is your red dragon of domination, she said seriously. Drake, oh, it's nice to see you again, he said nervously, surprising Issei. Inori, I don't know why my father sealed you, he would be better off dead, she said seriously. Drake, well, it's nice to be received that way, he said nervously, but changing the subject, your presence is not the same as in the past. Before I had an overwhelming presence, he said nervously. Issei, wait, how strong was that? He said surprised. Drake, yes, he said nervously. Inori, well, that's fine, but you're right. I've lost my light control and my powers, she said seriously. Issei, well, why don't we change the subject and we can leave, he said nervously while pointing to the exit. Drake, wait partner, don't you forget something, he said seriously. Issei, he was confused but then realized what she meant. It's true, I forgot, it's almost in Rias and Sona Citri's territory, he said seriously. Inori, Gremry and Citri are not supposed to become extinct, she said seriously. Issei, what do you mean? He said confused. Inori, nothing, I just got confused with someone else, she said seriously. Drake, partner, don't forget that today there will be a peace deal, he said seriously. Inori, a peace deal, what are you referring to? She said seriously. Issei, so according to what they say there will be a peace treaty between the angels, fallen angels and demons, he said seriously. That happened because last week we had an attack by Kokabeel, and he was also the one who told us about the death of God and the Satans, he said seriously. Inori, I see, that explains why I don't feel Father's presence, although it doesn't surprise me about Satan's. But even if Kokabeel was one of the angels that disgusted me the most, even when he was an angel, she said seriously. Issei, I don't know if they told you, but you are beautiful when illuminated by the moonlight, he said calmly while looking at how beautiful she was. Inori, Jujujuju, thanks for those words, but it won't be easy to make me fall with those words, she said happily and then hits Issei on the head with her spear. Issei, even if he doesn't have control over his power, his light can be deadly for demons, he said in pain while rubbing the place where he received the blow as it almost caught fire a little. He receives Gremry's call. If I'm already there, it's not necessary for him to come for me, I'm already close. If we meet, he said without interest. Inori, it's that demon, she said seriously. Issei, the meeting is about to start, tell me, will you go or stay? He said seriously. Inori, of course I'll go, maybe I'll meet my brother, she said seriously as she walks to the exit. Issei, well let's go, he said calmly as he walked outside. Current day. Everyone looked surprised at what Issei had told. Issei, that's what happened, he said bored. Azazel, well, it's getting dark now, come on, go to sleep, Issei, accompany Inori to your house, he said calmly. They all accepted it, and returned home while Rias and Akeno were looking out the window where Issei was seen walking with Inori. Akeno, is it my imagination or is it true that Issei is distancing himself from us, she said calmly. Rias, I don't care who she is, I'm not going to allow my pawn to get close to that angel, she said annoyed while expelling her power a little. Chapter 7 Training. At the Hayadu family home. The brown-haired boy looked embarrassed as he was faced with a scene he would never forget. Issei's mother looked very excited, saying that Issei brought a new girl to the house, which he considers the prettiest that Rias and Asia together. Inori, she was just surprised to see how Issei's mother hugged him with great affection. Father told me that there will be strong emotions between mother and father for their son. I think he exaggerated too much in that, she said in her mind, seeing how much affection Issei's mother had while remembering her father with a mocking smile. Mickey, hey Inori-san, you are really beautiful, I can't even compare you to Rias and Asia, he said happily, making the aforementioned jealous. Inori, all she could give was a smile. After Inori was welcomed by Issei's parents, Issei is very embarrassed by the way his parents act. Rias is upset because she never imagined seeing the angel of death sharing in her pawn's house, and is even more upset when she hears how he compares Rias to her. Days later. Everyone was gathered since they were about to go to the underworld. The entire occult club member was seen along with Issei and Inori, who was getting on the train. Inori was able to get on without problems since Surzex gave her a card that shows that she has permission to enter and leave the underworld. And the trip, which almost lasted about 2 hours until Azazel came out, which called Inori to be taken to another room while the others sat. Only a few minutes passed, which everyone was transported. The Gremry group was confused, but then they felt a dragon coming and began to attack, but they were easily defeated by that dragon until they heard the familiar voice. Azazel, I think that's enough, he said with a smile, and next to him is Inori. Rias, what does that mean? She said seriously. Azazel, that was a test your brother asked for, he said seriously. Rias, the only thing she kept quiet about since she couldn't go against her brother. Issei, who is that dragon? He said in doubt. Hey, it's been several years, don't you think Drake? He said seriously. Drake, oh, he's in a good mood as always, Tannen, he said calmly. Issei, wait, do they know each other and why didn't you stop him? He said annoyed. Gia, you asked me to stop him even though he was just playing with you guys. Ja, don't say stupid things, he said seriously, but out of nowhere he feels a chill and sees said presence, which scares him more, and that presence belonged to Inori, which his aura says, shut up or I will destroy you. Tannen, so this is your new bearer, and not only that, I thought the legend of the Angel of Death was just a legend, but now I see it with my own eyes, he said seriously. Azazel, okay, I've already arranged for Rias to go to your house, he said calmly. Rias, haha, what does it matter? There is a hot spring here where we can shower, she said seriously. Everyone did not hesitate to accept it, and went to take a bath since everyone stank of sweat and dust. The Gremry girls, they stared at her with envy since Inori was bathing in that bathroom, and the Gremry girls were envious of her body that looks better than them. Irina, wow, what a beautiful body Inori-sama has, she said surprised. No, get out of this impure thought. Oh, Michael-sama, forgive me, she said worried while joining her hand. Inori, she just gives a light laugh since she heard everything Irina said. With Azazel. The boys were seen bathing while Azazel approaches Issei and asks him. Azazel, hey, you see that he is very comfortable with Inori and Rias. Issei, he said with a smile. Issei, well, what's wrong with you with that sudden question, he said in doubt. Azazel, you know, even though she's a sister, you can tell she has a good body, don't you believe it, Issei, he said with a smile. Issei, don't tell me you want to do the northern thing, he said with a neutral face. Azazel, ha, do you think that I can tell, Issei, he said with a smile. I may be attractive, but I won't lay a hand on you, he said with a smile. What's more, tell me what would happen if he tried to touch Inori's breasts, he said with a smile. Issei stays silent while thinking about a love fantasy that Azazel is saying. Kiba with Gasper, who just stared at that strange conversation he was having while giving him a forced smile. Minutes after they bathed, they all went to Rias's house. Minutes later they arrived at the entrance, who was greeted by Graphia, a maid of the Gremry house. They entered the path. Everyone met their brother's son, whose name is Milikas, but then she changed her gaze to Inori, who spoke almost excitedly since he read the legend about the Angel of Death, things that Milikas was very happy about, but they still had to get to where the Gremry patriarch was. Venelana, it's a pleasure to have you here, Angel of Death, she said calmly. Inori, thank you for accepting me, she said lightly. Venelana, come on, I'm sure you're hungry, right? She said calmly as she walked towards the dining room. The guests went to the dining room to enjoy their meal. While they ate, they saw the leader of the Zeoticus clan arrive with his son Serzex. Minutes later the guests finished eating, and since it was already very late, everyone went to their room assigned by the clan servants. Issei, that room is too big, it's too big, he said surprised since he never imagined his room like that, but he was interrupted. Come in, he said curiously. Inori, she just peeked while blushing. Can I sleep with you? She said nervously. Issei, it took him a while to react. Inori, I don't trust demons, she said nervously. Issei, okay, come in, he said blushing as he imagined other things. Inori, who did not hesitate to enter the room to lie down next to Issei. They were both in bed but with their backs turned until Issei spoke. Issei, hey Inori-san, can I ask you something? He said calmly. Inori, tell me, she said curious about the question. Issei, why didn't you go to heaven instead of coming to the underworld? He said calmly. Inori, I don't know, I received a message from Michael telling me to go to the underworld, she said calmly. Issei, I see, and tell me why he says he doesn't trust demons. What's more, I'm also a demon, he said in doubt. Inori, that's because you're very different, she said calmly. Issei, I see, he said calmly. Both had already fallen asleep waiting for dawn, but what neither of them knew was that they were being spied on while they slept. Asia, Inori-sama is with Issei-san, she said while crying. Zenobia, I'm not going to lose, she said seriously while closing the door. The next day, everyone was seen gathered in the courtyard of the Gremry castle. Azazel was seen speaking, asking who would give their training. Each one was passing by and receiving the order of how to train until the last two arrived. Azazel, well, as you can see, each one of you has already received your lessons on how to do your training. For now, it's time for me with Issei, he said calmly. Hey Issei, you're one of Rias's pieces. You're simply weak, so you'll have to train with him, he said with a smile while pointing behind him, which looks like a dragon coming down. Issei, wait, it's the same dragon from that day, he said surprised. Tannen, you better get it into your head knowing the place where you're stepping. Azazel, he said seriously. Azazel, yes, well, Issei will be your trainer, he said with a smile. Issei, he is surprised. Tannen, this is the first time I've trained a drake bearer, he said calmly. Drake, I just ask that you don't make it too hard since that boy is too green to endure that training, he said calmly. Issei, are you telling me that I'm fragile? He said, annoyed by the comment. Drake, don't blame me, blame yourself more for seeing that crap, he said seriously. Issei, hey, he said annoyed but couldn't finish because he was being held by Tannen. Tannen, well, I'm leaving, he said seriously. Azazel, wait Tannen, there are other things I want to ask for, he said calmly. Tannen, tell me, he said curiously. Azazel, it turned out that Inori is also going to train with you, he said seriously. Tannen, because he said seriously while looking at Inori. Rias, why does he want me to train? Is he weak? She said seriously. Azazel, you'd better watch your tongue, he said seriously. Tannen, I see, I understand that, well it doesn't matter, after all I have nothing to do, he said calmly. Issei along with Inori left with Tannen. Issei was held in Tannen's hand while Inori just sat on Tannen's shoulder. Azazel, I hope to see some progress on that, he said in his mind while thinking about how it will go for the two of them, or will one of them cross the line. With Issei. The chestnut is seen crying while waiting for his destination. It took almost 10 minutes until he reached Tannen's territory. Tannen, well this is my territory, he said seriously while he lowers and releases Issei making him fall and be nailed in the snow while Inori was lowered into Tannen's hand carefully. Inori approaches Issei who is stuck upside down and looks to his side where he finds a stick and starts poking Issei. Tannen, wait here, I'll go see a dragon, he said seriously as he walks away. After Tannen had left, Issei asked Inori to help him get out of the snow. It only took a few minutes until Tannen arrived, but he didn't come alone, another dragon also came. Wow Tannen, when you told me that the angel of death was there, I thought you were joking, he said surprised. Tannen, well, he is Alias, he is a dragon that can control the element of light, that is why I see that he is suitable for me to train with him. Now I understand the fallen brat, he said seriously. Alias, okay Tannen, let's do it like this, you start training those two apprentices in body and soul while I prepare myself so I can train the little angel, he said calmly. Tannen, well, we'll start with the body, he said seriously. Issei, then what do we do, he said in doubt. Tannen, may your being be with you as well Inori-sama, he said seriously while spitting out a flame of fire. Inori along with Issei is surprised by the sudden attack. They both ran while Issei cursed himself for asking. Tannen, well run faster if you don't want to be burned, he said seriously while flying and launching a fire attack. It took almost 2 hours for Inori as well as Issei to get tired from running so much. Tannen, well Inori-sama can you come for a moment, he said seriously while using magic to reduce his size. Issei, wait, it can change its size, he said surprised. Tannen, we dragons can change our size depending on how much magic we have and not only that we can also use magic to act with the appearance of a human, he said seriously. Well Inori-sama I have to tie you around his waist, he said seriously. Well now you brat, he said seriously as he approaches Issei to tie his waist. Issei, well, what is that rope? He said in doubt while pulling and twisting with the rope to see where it led, which he is surprised to see was a large stone, and he looks at Inori who also had a stone but hers was smaller while Issei's was 3 times bigger than Inori's. He panics. Tannen, okay, both of you will walk while you pull that stone. Don't say you can't, that's why you did the warm-ups, he said seriously. Issei, Grandpa who is in heaven just wanted to tell you that I am being tortured. I mean being trained by a damn dragon, he said with fear in his mind while the ghost of Grandpa appears behind him saying that everything is okay. Inori and Issei did not waste any time and began to walk with that stone, but of course either of them managed to do it quickly, since the weight of the stone made them tire faster. At dusk, you see Inori and Issei lying on the ground breathing rapidly. Issei, I finally did it, he said tired. Tannen, well earned your break, he said seriously. Issei, were you not going to let us rest? How bad you are, he said molesto. Tannen, you want to rest, then pay me with the results you get from training, but for now I'll let you rest since you didn't use Drake's power and Inori didn't use magic to lose weight, so rest, he said seriously. Issei, weight and the food I ask in doubt. Tannen, are you an idiot or is it obvious that you have to search for yourself, you have to survive on your own, annoyed scream while giving Issei a tremendous blow to the head. Issei, hey, it's not that big of a deal, just ask, he said while rubbing himself. After Tannen retired, Issei had to help Inori find food and spend his first night of survival. Chapter 8, The End of Training. 2 weeks have passed since Issei along with his partner Inori went to the ground where he was taken by a former dragon king to train, while in other places are the other members of 2 nobility Citri and Gremory who are also giving their efforts to increase their powers. You can see the land almost destroyed since in that place Issei was fighting with Tannen. The reason is because Issei was tortured. He said he was trained by Tannen, which forced him to do exercises with the intention of improving his resistance. Not only did he go there but also Inori. But Inori not only trained with Tannen but also with another master who is helping him to have more control over his light element. Tannen, come on higher to Issei, is that all you can do? He said seriously. Issei, damn, he said annoyed. Tannen, well I think that's enough, he said seriously when his partner saw that the session had ended. Issei, you have finally a break, he said calmly and falls to the ground. Inori, well Issei, how's your training going? She said happily as she sat next to him. Issei, well, but for some reason I feel like I still have a long way to go, he said calmly. During the time they gave for their training, Issei and Inori decided to deepen their friendship. Both of them already speak to each other as close friends. Issei, ha, well I think I'll go collect something to eat, he said calmly. Inori, jujujuju, gives him a slight laugh. Issei, hey and that little smile, he said in doubt. Inori, you know, being by your side is calmer than I thought, she said happily. Issei, he was the only one who managed to understand what Inori meant and blushes slightly. Well I think I'll go look for him, he said blushing. Inori, well I'll light the fire, she said calmly. Issei, is it me or is it my imagination? I get nervous when I'm with her, he said calmly while walking. Drake, no, how do you think you're crazy, he said seriously. You say that he's starting to feeling something for her, you're crazy, she's desperate cry. Issei, it's not that bad anymore, he said calmly. It only took a few minutes for Issei to return with something to eat and see Inori who is smiling while looking at the fire. Issei, there is no doubt she is very beautiful, he said in his mind. Well, Inori is all I found, he said calmly while lowering the edible fruits are fruits that Tannen taught him since his first night he almost died poisoned by eating poisonous mushrooms. Inori, wow, I thought it would take longer, she said happily while grabbing the fruits. Issei and Inori began to make their food so they could enjoy it together. After finishing eating, Issei decided to tell legends from both his country and another foreign country. Not only did they have fun with legends, they also played for a while, but by mistake Issei steps wrong and falls on top of Inori. They both stared at each other for a while until Inori decided to give the brown-haired boy a kiss on the nose. Issei, wait, what are you doing? He said blushing. Inori, ha, it's fun to tease you, she said with a smile. In the distance, you see 2 dragons along with a person who were watching what Issei was doing along with Inori. Tannen, who would have imagined that he was starting to get along with her, he said seriously. Azazel, ha, I already suspected that was going to happen, he said calmly and with a smile. Alias, I thought I would deny you, he said seriously. Azazel, Please don't compare me to those Saikins. But if she's happy, I don't have to interfere. Besides, that's what I want. She had a very hard childhood, that's why I want Inori to have someone to have fun with, he said calmly. And not only that, if it's about Issei, there's no need to doubt since I trust Issei, who will accept Inori no matter what, he said with a smile. With Issei. Issei, who is sitting looking at the fire which he is about to put out, sees Inori, who is asleep. Issei. His face is red, but he still decides to approach Inori and gives her a kiss on her face. Good night, rest, he said calmly, and then goes to his place to sleep. Inori. She wakes up and touches the part where Issei kissed and blushes. The next day. Inori with her teacher and also Issei with his teacher. Both students are giving their best effort to overcome their challenges before the hour runs out, since it was their last day of training. Tannen. Well, I think the time has finally come. Issei and Inori, you both made a great effort, but your training ends here, he said seriously. Issei. Ha ha ha, we finally finished, but even if I didn't manage to activate the balance breaker, he said disappointed. Inori, okay, calm down, one day you'll achieve it, she said calmly while stroking Issei's head. Tannen, fine, I'll take him back, he said seriously. Alias, Inori-chan, it was fun training you, he said calmly and with a smile. Inori, thank you for training me, she said calmly while leaning a little. Tannen, well, time to go back, he said seriously while looking at Issei with Inori sitting on his shoulder. It only took a few minutes to reach the Gremry territory, and he drops him off in the garden where the first day he took him to the training camp. Issei, thanks Ajizan, he said calmly. Inori, just bows as a sign of gratitude. Tannen, well, we'll see each other at the meeting, he said calmly as he leaves. Wow, they got here first, he said calmly. Issei, but it's Kiba, he said calmly. Kiba, I see that your training was hard, he said surprised since both of them had their clothes almost worn out. Issei was missing his shirt, which looked very marked. Seriously, I envy that Issei-kun has that body, he said in doubt while touching Issei's abdomen. Issei, he gets a chill. Hey, stop touching me, I prefer girls to touch me than men, he said with fear and scared. Inori just laughed silently. A few minutes later the others arrived and waited in that place to be received by the maids of the Gremry mansion. Issei, that was very tiring, I wonder how I can activate it, he said in doubt while lying on the bed. Drake, I haven't told you yet, but you already have everything you need to support the weight of balance breaker, he said seriously. Issei, but how are you saying that I already have everything because I can't activate it, he said in doubt while looking at his hand, which is an emerald sphere. Drake, you see, in order to use the balance breaker you need to have a stronger emotional change. My former carriers activated it with a very strong emotional change, he said seriously. Issei, a strong emotional, what do you mean, he said in doubt. Drake, only you will know, partner, don't get depressed, he said seriously. In the end I'm going to sleep, he said seriously while disappearing from Issei's hand. Somewhere in the underworld. He was in a cave and deep inside there was something like a laboratory. I heard that the angel of death woke up. I already have everything prepared to attack and take my revenge against you, false Lucifer, and the angel of death, he said with an evil smile. In heaven. An angel was seen walking down the hall until he found his sister sitting picking flowers. Gabriel-san was looking for you, he said calmly. Gabriel, Oni-sama, what is the reason for your visit, he said with a smile. Michael, wow Gabriel, I notice you're happier since that day we met Inori-san, he said calmly. Gabriel, you really notice me, she said blushing. Michael, well, changing the subject, I was asking you if you wanted to accompany him to the underworld to seal a peace deal, he said calmly. Gabriel, seriously, he said happily, but there won't be any problems if I go, he said in doubt. After all, many demons see me that way, he said sadly while hugging himself. Michael, don't be like that Gabriel, and if that happens, the one who will be affected is Lucifer, since that could affect the alliance, he said calmly while patting Gabriel, and he should also know that Inori-san will also be there, he said happily. Gabriel, really, he said happily and joyfully. Michael, Yujum, he said with a smile. Gabriel, So what are you waiting for? We have to get ready, he said happily. Both angels went to prepare to go to the underworld visit. Chapter 9, Meeting of Young Demons. Issei, a gathering of young devils, he said in doubt. Kiba, that's right, it's a meeting where all the young demons have to present, he said calmly. They both looked like they were playing chess while they talked about what was going to happen next. Issei, well, at least I don't have to do anything, it's not necessary for us to go, right? He said calmly. Kiba, and that's the bad thing since the nobility also has to go and be dressed in a formal manner so that it has a good presentation for Rias-sama, he said calmly. Issei, Rias-sama, it's strange that you talk like that, he said in doubt. Kiba, we have to talk about it or that will fail Rias-sama. It could be said that it would stain her title as the heir of the Gremry clan, especially when she is treated as Mao-sama's sister. He said calmly, checkmate. He said calmly while throwing away his enemy's queen. Issei, I see it's going to be a boring day, he said bored. Issei along with Kiba had retired to the room. Kiba, who took the opportunity, took Issei to the place where he will be disciplined so that he behaves as he should according to Kiba, things that Issei tried to flee but was pulled by the ears by Rias's mother. Venelana, see, young man, where do you think you're going? She said annoyed while pulling her ears. Issei, I don't know why but I think she looks like my mom, he said with fear and pain in his ears. An hour later. The chestnut was seen lying on the bed. Issei, damn you, that's exhausting, and I don't know why I have to go with her, and the more I see Bucho, the more I don't feel comfortable anymore, he said bored. Drake, those classes are stupid to participate in that way, he said seriously. Issei, and what do you want me to do, Drake? From the first day Bucho told me that I was reincarnated when I was dying, he said bored. Drake, they took you by force, he said seriously. Issei, yeah, well there's nothing I can do, he said bored. Knock knock knock. Issei-sama, Rias-sama calls him, she said seriously. Issei, ha ha ha, I think it's about time, he said bored. Tell him it's okay, I'll be there in a moment, he said bored while he stands up to change. An hour later. In the hallway of Lucifer Castle, Rias was walking with her entourage while explaining the way she had to be and the very important rules. After explaining the rules, Issei was finally able to sit down in a chair without realizing who was next to him. It's very tiring to be here, she said calmly. Issei, if it's very agitating, wait, why are you here? He said in doubt. Inori, I was just looking for company from someone I know, she said calmly. Issei, I see, he said calmly. What is the stinky angel doing here in Lucifer-sama's castle? He said annoyed as he approaches Inori. Inori, who remained calm without moving, did not even get upset. I answer, what is a stinky angel doing here, or did they use you to make a sacrifice? If it were like that I would take him to grape you stinky virgin, he said with a smile, while he grabs Inori's cheek. Issei, wait, how can you know if she's a virgin or not? Are they idiots? He said in his mind surprised. Drake, I told you you're falling in love with her, shocked cry. Issei, you better shut up, you're not helping anything, damn sleepy but, annoyed scream in mind. I'm talking to you, stinky angel, he said annoyed as they tried to slap him, but he was stopped. TKS, you are Rias Gremry's slave, I order you to let go of my hand or you will regret it, he said annoyed. Issei, weren't you taught to know first before speaking like that, he said seriously while grabbing her hand. I order you to let me go, he said annoyed while he had his hand raised giving a signal to his servants to stop. He sees Inori, who she gives him a cut in his chest with Inori's sword. What is that? Perhaps is your attack so pathetic, ha ha ha, he said with a smile along with his servant. Could it be that they gave you as a sacrifice for being such a weak angel, he said with a smile, pum pum meh. He feels a slight pulsation in his body, flag, he spits blood, curse, what have you done to me, annoyed scream. Inori, as you can see your body is fine, but your heart is not, she said seriously. Damn, who are you? He said annoyed while being held by his servants as he was falling. Inori, I am Inori, the angel of death, she said seriously. The room where the demons were waiting for the meeting felt completely silent, as many knew that story and they themselves knew that underestimating him is to end up dead as he did to the demon, and some began to fear him and even began to move away little by little without attracting attention. The angel of death know that is impossible, he said annoyed. Flag, he spits blood and dies since his heart ended up bursting. Damn, said one of his servants angrily, but he also ends up dead. Queen, wait. There's no need to fight, we'll never be able to beat him, she said seriously. If you'll excuse me, I'll leave. Inori-sama, she said seriously as she leans forward and grabs one arm, and her partner also grabs the other arm, which ends up carrying the body, dragging the same with her partner. In the same room at the entrance you see a group of people entering. Surzex, he sees how tense the atmosphere is. What happened here? He said, surprised to see 2 dead bodies. All the demons point to someone, and it is none other than Issei. Issei, wait, damn Firsimeon, because you blame me, he said angrily. Surzex, Issei-kun, don't tell me you killed him, he said surprised. Inori, was it me who had some problems, she said seriously. Surzex, well, I pretend I never knew, he said in his mind while whistling. The demons were surprised by the behavior of their king. Surzex, good young demons, welcome to the meeting of young demons, he said calmly while they talked about the topics that were going to be made. Of course, as always, some were not against it and some were. Well, as you can see, our guest has just arrived, he said calmly while behind you could see the people walking forward, which are angels and Isker. Michael, thanks for the invitation, Surzex-kun, he said calmly. Gabriel, likewise Mouse, she said calmly, but in response she changes her gaze towards the person. Oh, hello Inori-chan, she said happily. Inori, sister, I never imagined you would come here, she said happily. Gabriel, in fact, Michael invited me, he said happily. While Gabriel is talking to his sister, Surzex kept talking. Surzex, Jum, well, as I was saying, we will also welcome the god of Isker, Odin, he said seriously. Odin, okay, I'm here. What's up, brat? He said with a smile. Surzex, it's a pleasure to see you, Odin-sama, he said seriously. Michael, it's nice to see you, Odin-sama, he said calmly. Azazel, what's up, you old shit? He said with a smile. Odin, you will never change, Azazel, he said with a smile. Surzex, who continued talking to his young demons about the alliance, and the things that will be done in the future when the approval of the alliance is finished. Odin was able to seal the seal of the alliance with his seal to make it known that he had officially joined. Surzex, very well, young demons, for now the meeting about the alliance has already finished, but now let's move on to the next phase. The 5 most important clans of the underworld must prepare for their presentation, he said seriously. Once Surzex had finished, the demons returned to their party. Meanwhile, Inori, who was walking with Issei, talking about some things until she feels a wall is destroyed in front of them. Issei, what the hell happened? He said surprised as he looked out and saw 2 demons fighting. Inori, I was just watching the fight. Shit stinks of virginity, Hitch, he said annoyed. Shut up, stupid face, she said annoyed. Rias, she is Segvaria Agars, an heiress of the Agars clan, and he is Glaspila, she said calmly. Issei, wow, you almost gave me a heart attack. I never saw you coming, he said scared. Rias, I actually just arrived, she said calmly. Issei, take a good look at him, she said seriously. Issei stares at a muscular boy, which ends up giving a tremendous blow to the demon boy. Inori, Bale is a demon from the Bale clan, she said seriously. Rias, well, I never even mentioned his name, she said seriously. Inori, I fought a Bale before, his power is almost equal to that demon boy, she said seriously. Sona, there was even another Bale without the power of destruction, she said surprised. Inori, what, he doesn't have the power of destruction, she said seriously, receiving a no. The demon that faced me also fought with a fist covered in the power of destruction. A single blow could easily disintegrate the body, she said seriously. After what Inori said, everyone was surprised to learn that her past in the Bale clan was highly respected. Hey Rias, he said calmly. Rias, it's nice to see you again, Serorg, she said with a smile. Serorg, by the way, hello Sona Citri, he said happily. Sona, nice to meet you Serorg Bale, she said calmly. Serorg, so they are your servants Rias Sona, he said calmly. Rias, that's right, he's Issei along with Asia and Zenobia, they're my new servants, he said calmly. Serorg, it's a pleasure, while shaking Issei's hand. Issei, it's a pleasure for us, he said calmly as he watches his hand as it is almost crushed by the brutal force of the Bale air. Sona, it's Saji, she said seriously. Serorg, fine, he said calmly, also shaking Saji's hand. Saji, who is nervous while feeling Serorg's brutal force. Serorg, so you must be Inori the angel of death that many fear and respect, he said seriously. Inori, she didn't say anything, she just kept looking at Serorg. Nice to meet you, she said calmly. Serorg, yes, it's a pleasure for me, Inori-sama, he said seriously while giving her a squeeze, but in a normal way he didn't do the same with Issei and Saji. They spent a good time talking until a soldier called some demons to come over. Rias along with Sona and Serorg along with 2 other demons entered the room where the leaders of the alliance could be seen along with Odin and the old men. Issei, hey Inori, why do you ask me to come in since you are the one who has a higher rank than me, he said nervously and in a low voice. Inori, I would feel very bored without you, she said calmly. Issei, wow, I never imagined that, said Neutral. Inori, come on, don't be like that, she said calmly while lightly slapping Issei on the back. Michael, ha 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 ha, it seems like Inori is having fun, he said in his mind with a smile and a drop of sweat falls on his forehead. Gabriel, she also has a smile but inside she tells him other things that she doesn't know why she feels that way. Surzex, well, how do we begin the meeting of these 5 young demons from the most important clan, he said calmly. The leading guests heard their futures from those young demons. One of them wants to be the king of the raiding game. The next said he wanted to be a mouse, making the leading guests surprised, but the old men didn't like it, saying that a demon without the power of destruction couldn't get stronger things that made the mouse and their guests uncomfortable. The next said he wanted to build a school for everything without despising his rank, things that the old men didn't like, and he even got upset, threatening to make her marry immediately. That was more uncomfortable for everyone. Surzex, you better calm down, he said seriously while looking at the old men, who immediately fell silent. Well, as you can see, those idiots do not accept. What if I propose Rias Gremry Sona Citri to have a battle reunion so that I can overestimate your wishes, he said calmly. Rias/Sona, they look at each other with a defiant look. Issei, well, I never imagined that would happen, he said surprised. Inori, never mind, that sounded boring, she said boring. Issei, I want to see how Kaisha's dream will go, he said surprised. Rias, Issei, what are you doing with that angel? You are my pawn, you must serve me only, she said in her annoyed mind. Surzex, well, that would be a personal match, but for the other demons later we will give that announcement. That would be all for today, you can leave, he said calmly. Everyone returned to their festival to celebrate about the alliance with the angels, fallen angels and Isker. Elsewhere. An unknown place. A person is seen walking with several wounds. Damn you, I was the one who helped him the most, I was paid that way, he said annoyed as he walked slowly but was supported on the wall because he could no longer stand himself. If I didn't have that deep wound on my leg I would have already escaped from that place as quickly as possible. Damn Gremry Knight, he said annoyed as he leans on the wall and slowly lowers himself to be able to sit on the floor. Croc. The sound alerted the person even though he could no longer get up, but he took out his sword to be able to defend himself. Who's there? Show yourself, annoyed scream. I didn't know there was a person here, and you're also hurt, she said calmly as she approached that person. Don't come closer, annoyed scream. Calm down, there's no need to make that fuss. If I came to kill you, I would have done it before drawing attention to myself, she said calmly as she lowered her backpack and started looking for something. He still hasn't lowered his weapon, but the words that person said are right. You are very hurt, can I touch you? She said calmly. He didn't say anything but lowered his sword and didn't take his eyes off that person. You know you're a weirdo, he said in doubt as he saw his wounds being bandaged. You can also tell that you are weird, she said calmly. Recognizing your presence, you are a human, and your uniform shows that you are not from here, he said seriously. That's right, I'm a citizen of Tokyo, she said calmly. Impossible, Tokyo is ruled by demons, he said surprised. We had a shelter, but inside there was a traitor who told us where that location was, she said a little sadly. Can you describe to me what that guy was like, he said seriously. Damn, that will be a big problem. If someone picks him up, it would be the end of that place, he said in his mind, annoyed. According to rumors, a blonde girl, said calmly. Gets more upset when he finds out who it was. A time travel, that's weird, he said in doubt while looking at the map as he finished bandaging that boy. Wait, how the hell did I grab my backpack without realizing it, he said surprised while looking at the place where he left his backpack. Maybe that person will know how to do it, she said calmly while looking at the boy. He sees the beautiful eyes of the girl. Something he didn't realize was that the beautiful eyes of that girl attracted his attention and a very strong feeling, things he never felt. Croc. They are coming, we have to move, he said seriously while feeling a few presences. Come with me, you'll be fine with us, she said calmly while helping him get up. You know you're super weird, she said with a smile. You're not the only one, you're also very strange, he said with a smile. They both walked silently, but what one doesn't know is that a worse fate awaits that couple. This is the end of the chapter, and I hope you like it, and I apologize for the delay. Chapter 10, An Enemy Trap. In Underworld on another day. Rias was seen along with her entourage preparing to go to a raiding game battle. The battle between Rias and Sona was put on a week after that raiding game. Rias, well, as you can tell, we will soon be participating, she said seriously, looking at her entourage. When Rias was going to continue speaking, she heard the announcement that the Citri clan lost against the Agar's clan, and then she heard the announcement about the battle that was going to start between the Gremory clan and the Astaroth clan. Akeno, I guess our time has come, she said seriously. Rias along with her entourage were moving towards the place where they will be transported, but on the way Issei meets Inori, who began to walk next to Issei. Inori, I guess it's time for you to leave, she said calmly. Issei, yes, he said calmly. Inori, well, it's better that you go with, she said calmly, but she didn't finish speaking. She kept looking at a person. Her destiny is getting shorter, it can't be avoided, she will die soon, she said in her mind. Issei, Inori, something is wrong, he said in doubt. Inori, no, it's nothing, she said calmly. Issei, well, I'm leaving, Inori-san, he said calmly. Inori, yes, I hope you're doing well, she said with a smile, but then she got serious. Gabriel, seeing that his sister, who at first put on a smile but then changed to serious. Something is happening, Inori. I notice you are a little uneasy, he said in doubt. Inori, it's nothing, sister, she said seriously while closing her eyes. Gabriel, he uses his power to be able to hear the voice of his heart and mind. That nun girl has her life in danger. She could soon die at any moment. That's what he heard what Inori said. Inori, did you know that she's in danger because she couldn't intervene? He said a little calmly. Inori, nothing can be avoided, she said seriously. I knew you would be here, Gabriel. Inori, he said seriously, making those mentioned look at that person. With Issei. The chestnut had already arrived at the place where they were going to have the match, but there was something that made him realize that they had arrived at a suspicious place, since Rias was the one who mentioned that someone had intervened in the match and had transported it to another place. Akeno, those magic symbols are from, she said seriously. Rias, I see, so it was Chaos Briage who intervened, she said seriously while looking at the magic circles and preparing her ball of energy of destruction. Stop right there, Rias Gremory, he said with a smile, making everyone look at that place. Zenobia, Asia, worried cry. Rias, so you are the traitor Diodora Astaroth, she said seriously. Diodora, how about we start the game, Rias Gremory? I'll see you at the castle that's there, she said with a smile while pointing at the castle. Rias, you will be, she said annoyed. Rias and her entourage prepared for the attack, but that changes when the god of Askr Odin arrives, who said that he will take care of the armies, thus giving the opportunity for Rias and the others to go. Azazel, that's right, you guys take care of him and we're the traitors, he said seriously. Inori, who arrives next to Issei's. Azazel, tell me Inori, how do you feel after thousands of years of being sealed and seeing those fallen bodies again? He said seriously. Inori, since before Issei went to that game, there were already people with short fates, she said seriously. Azazel, wait, you're talking about one of them being about to die and you're not saying anything, he said seriously. Tell me who it is, he said seriously. Inori just limited herself to being silent. Azazel, damn, I hope they are okay, he said seriously. Okay, let's go, there are jobs to do, he said seriously. Inori, she just limited herself to drawing her sword. With Issei, the chestnut, who was upset to know that Diodora is just playing, which divides his pieces into two groups, causing Rias to also separate their group into two. It took a few minutes for the Diodora pieces to fall and the Gremry group to advance. Issei, where are you, Diodora? Get out of there, annoyed cry. With Inori. Inori, who eliminated the traitors easily until she stopped when she realized that something caught her attention. Inori, that presence is Issei Sans. I hope you're okay. She said worried. Wait a moment, that's it. She said worried, then flies to that place. Azazel, wait Inori, what's happening? Serious cry while flying after her. That cry that Azazel gave caught the attention of a few people. Azazel, desperate cry. Azazel looks back and sees that it is Gabriel with Michael, and not only them, Surzex also came with Ajuka and Seraph. Michael, I heard you shout to Inori, what happened, he said worried. Azazel had to explain from the beginning when he asked about the dead, causing some to be surprised and others to be worried. Surzex, it was to be expected, Inori-sama already knew that from the beginning without anyone saying what we were planning, he said seriously. Ajuka, and what you're saying is that I would use your sister as a decoy to catch Diodora Astaroth, he said seriously. Seraphil, he's your younger brother, don't you worry about him, he said in doubt. Ajuka, he is no longer the same as I knew him as a child, he acts too different, and I suspected that he would betray the underworld, he said seriously. Minutes before. With Issei. The brown-haired boy was staring as he found the person he imagined seeing much less in the underworld. Issei, what the hell are you doing here? He said annoyed. Friel, yeah, how are you bastard demons? He said with a smile. The Gremry group had no words for what they were seeing as they looked behind the crazy priest where the last pieces of Diodora were being torn to pieces. Fried took the opportunity to explain his past to Asia, the last of Rias Gremry. A good few minutes have passed since Fried talked about Asia's past, making you laugh and your group get upset. Issei, you will be cursed, he said annoyed. Kiba, leave it to me, Issei-kun, he said seriously while grabbing Issei's shoulder. Issei, yes, give him a good hit, he said seriously. Fried, I curse you again, Gremry Knight, he said annoyed. Ha ha ha, but with that body you won't be able to destroy me, ha ha ha, he said in a mocking voice. Kiba without hesitation increases his speed and cuts it in half without hesitation. Fried, ha 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 ha, I forgot to say that my power has also increased, he said with a mocking smile. Yurg, he moans a little while his body returns to normal and transforms into a monster. Ha 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 ha, as you can see with that body, he said with a mocking smile. But even if Kiba did not give up and attacked again, he split the body, but this time he was able to hurt Fried. Fried, damn, that can't be happening, that's impossible, someone like me, he said annoyed. Kiba, just die, he said seriously while stabbing him in the head with the sword. Rias, okay guys, let's go, she said seriously. Rias and her entourage enter a room where Asia is seen tied up, and below Asia was Diodora. Diodora, who told the truth about Asia and her expulsion from the church, had upset everyone since they never imagined Asia's terrible fate. Issei was the first to get upset and transforms to give Diodora a good beating. Diodora, damn you, he said annoyed as he received the hard beating that Issei gave him. A damn low-class being like you has no right to treat a noble like me like that, he said annoyed. Issei, shut up once and for all, he said annoyed while launching an attack destroying the entire passage behind Diodora. After Diodora's defeat, Issei rescued Asia, but Asia decided to pray before going, but a column of light covered and took Asia away. All Asia said in shock. "It's time to stop playing Diodora," he said seriously while coming down from a magic circle. "Rias, Shalba Belzebub," she said annoyed. "Diodora, Shalba, you know, yes, we can gather our strength, we can," he said tiredly but did not finish his sentence as he was attacked by Shalba. "Shalba, you are pathetic, Diodora, a demon like you is useless," he said seriously. "Rias, tell me where Asia is," she said annoyed. "Shalba, I sent that reincarnated demon to the void. In a few words she is dead," he said seriously. Everything is in shock. One decides to attack furiously but is defeated while one loses control. Issei, Asia said in shock. Asia screams annoyed while fiercely activating her power. "I, the one who woke up." To the two heavenly dragons who stole the beginning of God's domination. "I laugh at the infinity, and despise the dream. I will become the red dragon of domination, and I will sink you into the depths of the crimson purgatory." Juggernaut Drive. Everyone didn't know what was happening, they just watched as Issei transformed into a dragon-like being every time. Chapter 11, My Life as a Demon Comes to an End, Part 1. After Issei lost control, he began to attack Shalba, who Shalba refused that a dragon like him was winning the battle. Minutes later, Issei, who had transformed into a dragon, decided to end Shalba's life by completely eliminating him. "Rias, Issei, what's happening? Why is he like this?" she said worried. "Akeno, we don't know what that is, but it looks dangerous," she said worriedly. "I see, so this is what it's about," he said seriously, drawing the attention of the Gremry members. "Rias, Hacker Yuka, what are you doing here?" she said seriously. "Vale, calm down, Rias Gremry, I just came to see my rival. I felt like I had lost control, why did I have to come?" he said seriously. "Baiko, it seems that we are not the only ones coming," he said with a smile while looking at the sky. Rias and her entourage did not understand what he was referring to and looked at the sky where they could see the leaders of the three alliances along with Inori. "Sirzex, Rias finds you okay," he said worried. "Rias, yes Oni-sama, but Issei is not well," she said worried. "Azazel, I see, I never imagined that Issei would be able to awaken that power so early," he said seriously. "Arthur, I also think that girl is one of you, isn't she?" he said calmly while carrying Asia, making everyone happy. "Sona, Rias, what's happening to your pawn?" he said with fear. "Saji, hey Vitra, is that really the power?" he said while sweating. "Vitra, that's right, puppy. If he doesn't try to control himself, he'll die soon," he said seriously, making the young demons worry. "Azazel, hey Vala can take care of that," he said seriously. "Vala, sure, what if I accidentally kill him?" he said calmly, making everyone worry and at the same time get upset. "Albion, leave it alone, there's no point in us getting involved in that matter," he said seriously. "Vala, what do you mean by that?" he said seriously. "Albion, apparently no one noticed, but the Angel of Death is down below with Security," he said seriously, causing everyone to be surprised since they never saw him come down. "Michael, Inori, what are you doing down there? It's very dangerous," concerned Cry. With Inori. Inori, who was watching Issei. Issei sees the person and does not hesitate to attack with his claws. Inori dodges it while creating a spear of light and attacks him. Issei. He takes the damage but remains intact, but even if he didn't stop, he heads towards her trying to attack again with his claws. "Inori, Issei, you still don't know much about the supernatural world and you got carried away by power," she said a little sad. Issei opens his mouth and launches an energy attack towards Inori. Inori dodges the attack and heads down, but there is something she didn't notice. Issei, his eyes shine, which manages to catch Inori with the power of freezing time. It is the same attack he did with Shalba Beelzebub, causing everyone to be surprised. "Inori, Issei-san, how I would like to continue by your side, but I see that I can't even do that," she said sadly as a memory comes to her. Memory of Inori. Inori is seen walking in a garden where she finds some little angels. Angel 1, Inori and Issei, look, I made her a flower crown, she said with a smile. Angel 2, I also made one for her but in the shape of a bracelet, she said happily. Inori, thank you, she said happily, but when she was going to grab the crown and the bracelet, out of nowhere the atmosphere changes from a beautiful garden to a destroyed garden, making her surprised at what happened. What's happening? She said, confused, as she looks around and sees everything destroyed but sees the crown and the bracelet with the dried flowers and stained with blood, and at the end she looks at the ground, which scares her too much. She sees the little angels that gave her the crown and the flower bracelet, which she sees that her body was dismembered. End of memory. Inori, forgive me, Issei, she said while tears fell. Issei. He had already stopped Inori in time, just as he did with Shalba Belzebuth, but there is something he did not notice. He looks at the ground as several spears of light come out, piercing his body easily. Aargh. He roars in pain despite the fact that the body is that of a demon, and the second spear is covered in magic to cause serious damage to dragons. Valley, that angel is too powerful. I would like to have a fight with her, he said with a smile. Albion, it's better that you go away, Vala. Besides, you know, when Red and I interrupted the battle of the angels, fallen angels and demons, days later those three bands joined together to defeat us. Have you ever wondered how we died? He said seriously. Valley, it's not something that interests me, but in the end I say that it was the god of angels, right? He said seriously and did not take his eyes off the battle. Albion, it was the angel of death Inori who took our lives using the sword Ascalon, he said seriously. Michael, wait, she's saying that she was the one who eliminated the two celestial dragons, but we were told that it was our Lord, the god of angels, he said, surprised, just like everyone else. Rias, Issei said worriedly. Surzex, wait, you can't go to that place, it's too dangerous, especially if you're a pureblood demon, you wouldn't be able to resist in that place, he said seriously while grabbing her hand to prevent her from going to that place. Inori, she sees how her body is released by the time magic and raises her hand, which creates a larger and more powerful spear, not only that it is covered in various magic in a single attack. Issei, forgive me, she said seriously while throwing the spear at him. Issei. He prepares to receive the attack, which ended up receiving full damage, and the area where he was covered by the attack he received, leaving the place destroyed. Inori goes to where Issei is lying down, who just looks at her with sadness and decides to turn around. Don't ignore it, give it another chance, he said with a warm voice while touching Inori's back. Inori realizes what she felt and looks back to see Issei covered in light. With Issei in mind, a dark space is seen. Issei, what is that place? Because I feel scared, because I feel that strong loneliness. I want to sleep. I want to rest. He said neutrally while trying to rest. I can't feel my body. I just feel like I'm fading away little by little. He said sadly. Please don't leave her alone again. You are her company, her happiness, her emotions, and above all her feelings, he said with a quality and calm voice. Issei, what is that light? He said calmly while stretching out his hand as if he was trying to reach the light. Because I feel calm, my fear disappeared and I can feel my body completely, he said calmly. Huh? He is a little surprised since in that light you can see a person and you can also see that he is shaking his hand. Out of consciousness. Inori is seen hugging Issei while caressing him and sees the place that was covered by dust. Almost nothing was seen, but she felt that people were coming. Inori did not let this opportunity escape and creates a magic circle which teleports. Rias. She is desperately looking for Issei, but since she is the king she can feel the pieces and heads to that place, but the only thing left is shock and falls to her knees. Everyone is left wondering what will happen, but Vera also realizes. Azazel, Michael said seriously. Michael, yes, I know, he said seriously. Surzex Lucifer, I am very sorry about what my sister Inori did, he said seriously. Surzex, no, don't worry, after all we can't do anything, she represents death, nothing can be done, he said seriously. Akeno, but Surzex-sama, she said annoyed. Azazel, calm down Akeno, he's right, nothing can be done, he said seriously. Elsewhere. It is located far from the battle of Issei against Inori. Senpai, they left, she said calmly. Let's go find him, he said seriously. But how will we find it? He said in doubt. Most likely they went to the human world, he said seriously. In the human world. In the forest you see a brunette girl walking calmly to her home, but she stops. That presence is very rare that I feel presence in that forest. Besides, that presence is very weak and it feels more like an angel, she said in doubt and serious. Wait, it's an angel, she screams surprised, drops her basket and runs towards that direction where the weak presence of the angel is. The girl had already arrived at that place where that weak presence was. He approaches slowly and sees two people. One was lying on the floor and the other person was sitting, holding that person's head on his legs. Inori, seeing who was coming, she just went on alert. When she got closer she could see that person who was lying down. Issei-kun, she said surprised. Inori, you know him, she said seriously. Of course I know him, he was a friend. And who are you? Why did you appear here? She said doubtfully and surprised. Inori, my name is Inori. I am an angel known as the Angel of Death. And who are you? She said calmly. Forgive me, my name is Asuna, she said sadly. My house is a few meters from here. I can give it a roof, she said calmly. Inori without hesitation accepted the roof along with Asuna. They took Issei to that house where they had to spend about 2 days since it took Issei 2 days to wake up. Issei, let's see, you mean that 2 days ago I lost control and turned into a dragon, he said seriously. Inori, Yujum, she shook her head saying yes. Issei, and then you took me to another unknown place and then you say that a girl found you. Inori, Yujum, kept shaking her head. Issei, and she gave you a roof to rest, he said in doubt. Inori, Yujum, she kept shaking her head. Issei, and what is the name of the girl who gave you her roof, he said in doubt. Inori, well, she said calmly. It's been years since we last saw each other, Issei-kun, he said happily. Issei, Asuna, he said surprised. Asuna, what's wrong? Did a fly bite you? She said with a smile. Issei, wait, he said in shock. Asuna, I don't know anything about the supernatural world, so it's obvious that I do know that before I was a sister, but for some reason I got angry, she said seriously. Issei, because what is the reason, he said in doubt. Asuna, you know it, don't Issei? You are a demon dragon. You should know the situation that heaven is in, she said seriously. Her father is not with us, she said seriously. Asuna, that's right, and the worst thing is that the church wanted me dead for discovering the secret of heaven, she said seriously. Inori, I never imagined that the church would do that. Father would be disappointed with Michael, she said bored. Issei, now that I see, I no longer feel weak before the light, he said in doubt. Drake, buddy, that happens because you stopped being a demon, and you no longer have the evil piece, he said seriously. Issei, why did that happen? He said surprised. Chapter 12, My Life as a Demon Comes to an End Part 2. After Issei finds out that he is no longer part of a demon, he is still searching for the reason. Inori, I expelled you, she said as if nothing happened. Issei, what do you mean by expelling you? He said in doubt. Inori, when I attacked you with a spear that had purification magic, your body was covered in malice, she said calmly. Asuna, a malice, she said in doubt. Drake, that's right, it's the malice of my former bearers who took power with them, having a great hatred which became a curse. Even though Inori-sama purifies my partner's body, the malice is still inside, boasts Greer. Over time, the malice will grow and will once again try to take over my partner's body, he said seriously. Issei, it's complicated, she said seriously. Asuna, well, leave that topic aside and rest, she said seriously and pushes Issei to lie down properly. Issei, ha ha ha, it doesn't change, he said in thought. Asuna, well, there's still time to go get more food so you can eat, she said calmly. Inori, I'll go too. I'd like to explore the city, she said calmly. Asuna and Inori went to buy more food while Issei rested a little more. Asuna tried to strengthen her friendship with Inori until she passed by a church. Asuna, something's wrong, Inori-sama, she said in doubt. Inori, that church feels malicious, she said seriously. Asuna, it's the church where I tried to escape. It's strange that until now it can't find me. Ha! What could it be? She said with a smile. Inori, she didn't say anything, she just looked at him. After Inori finished seeing the church, she continued on her way to buy food and returned to Asuna's house so the three of them could eat together, which they had fun with. In the early morning night, a girl is seen standing on the roof while looking at the church. Inori jumps through a window regardless of whether it breaks or not. Monk, who is there? He said seriously. Inori, someone who will end up here, she said calmly. Monk, I bet you are a demon, don't worry, you will die under the power of God, he said seriously while taking out his rosary and a sword. Inori, that doesn't affect me because I'm an angel, she said seriously. Monk, if you are an angel, why do you come in like that? Wait, are you perhaps fallen? He said seriously. Inori, she didn't say anything and just raised her hand, creating a magic circle which caused a lightning bolt to fall towards the priest. Priest, Aoiwa, he screams in pain but then falls to the ground with his body charred, which causes him to lose his life immediately. The priest's cry caught the attention of everyone in the church, and everyone came to see what was happening. Inori, that's the only way you'll save me time, she said seriously as she took out her wings and her sword. Priest, oh look, it's an angel who came to investigate our brother's death, he said relieved. Inori, she didn't say anything and runs towards them, cutting them into pieces. The priests are surprised by what is happening. Some try to escape but are still hit by Inori's attacks. The room was completely dark since the lights that the priests had in their hands were turned off. The only thing that can be seen is when they open the main door, letting the moonlight illuminate the room, and the priest is found lying lifeless and in pieces. For an angel to be in front of that massacre, I imagine that God sent his angel to punish, he said seriously. Inori, who are you? She said seriously because she herself feels differently than the priests. Ha 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 ha, my name is Vasco Estrada, nice to meet you, he said with a smile. Inori, just staring. Vasco, tell me, Angel-san, why you came here, he said calmly. Inori, that church was too corrupted by darkness, she said seriously. Vasco, I see, so you also realized that, he said seriously. You know, I also received a report that they were doing experiments with humans here. At first I didn't believe it, that's why I came to see with my own eyes, but I see that you finished off most of them, right, he said seriously. Inori, yes, but you arrived too late in this church. I feel that there are a majority of about 185 souls begging for their rest, she said seriously. Vasco, 185 souls, that's too many, and how do you know about souls? Do you have a unique ability? He said surprised. Inori, it's because I'm the angel of death, she said seriously while looking back. The souls won't be able to rest if I don't destroy this place, she said seriously. Vasco, of course, I'll leave that up to you, he said seriously while bowing. Inori walks forward and sees a candle which she grabs and throws into a place where there are many curtains, which causes a fire. Vasco, he sees how the flames began to spread throughout the curtains and also realizes that the curtains were made of a single piece, which would have allowed him to destroy the church. Minutes later, the streets were filled with people, firefighters, police, and ambulances. The firefighters struggled to put out the flames that covered the church and a few houses that were hit by the flames. Vasco, you said that you would only destroy the church but not the house, he said in shock. Inori, just staring as he walks away. Vasco, well, I'll take it as if nothing happened. I saw it, he said, a little nervous. The next day, Asuna found out that the church that gave her trouble had been destroyed, and wondered what had happened, while Issei was already getting an idea. Issei, hey Inori, did you do it? He said in a low voice. Inori, she didn't say anything while playing with the tips of her hair. Issei, well, I'll take that as a yes, he said with a nervous smile. Asuna, who couldn't get rid of the idea of what had happened, But that didn't matter to her anymore and decided to leave that topic and go prepare for lunch while Issei and Inori were sitting watching nature. Asuna, I see Inori-san, it's time to eat, she said calmly. They both nodded and went to eat, a chat with a good atmosphere, and meanwhile elsewhere in the underworld the meeting of the leaders of different factions was seen. Surzex, well Azazel, you managed to find Issei-kun, he said seriously. Azazel, no Surzex, it's as if the earth itself ate him, he said seriously. Surzex, TKS damn, he said annoyed. Odin, surely that brat of death did not take him, he said seriously. Michael, I don't doubt Odin Dano, but the question is for what, he said in doubt. The leaders who were having their little meeting while outside the room. Saji, I wonder where Hayate is, he said calmly. Momo, don't talk like he escaped, Saji, she said seriously, but inside she felt nervous and a little scared at the same time. Sona, we just have to wait, she said seriously while looking out the castle window towards the town. With Issei. Issei, who was walking to clear his mind. Issei, damn, if I could just use the magic circle I would go see them and find out how she is, he said, slightly annoyed. Drake, you should worry about yourself rather than worry about them. You are no longer part of demons, you could be classified as a regenerated demon, he said seriously. Issei, bah, how boring you are, he said seriously. Croc. Issei. He was alerted by the sound. Who are you? He said seriously while activating his great boat, MMM. He sees a little corner where he couldn't fit alone, but out of nowhere he crouches down, and feels his hair being cut, and he jumps back. Whoa, what is that? Who are you? Why do you want to kill me? I never imagined that you were too weak, he said seriously. Issei. Who is that guy? He said seriously while looking at that guy with a cloak covering his face. Drake, partner, be careful with him. I feel a great danger, he said seriously. Let's see what you're made of, he said seriously as he takes out a sword and launches himself to attack him. Issei, damn, he said while dodging the attacks. Issei, who is battling with the subject, that was a sword battle, but a false movement of Issei falls to the ground and feels the sharp point on the neck. You have fallen here to Issei, he said seriously. Wait, senpai, it's not necessary to do that, she said tired. He sees the girl who only had her hood almost destroyed giving the signal that she also fought but was defeated. Issei, he sees the girl but also sees Asuna and Inori arriving at his side. Inori, who are you? She said seriously. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Hinaraja Yakaina, she said seriously while taking off her hood. Inori/Issei, a human, said surprised in the mind. My name is Shuoma, he said seriously while taking off his hood, or rather. Chapter 13, a new adventure but with big problems. The place went completely silent as they tried to understand what was happening. Issei, let's see what the hell is going on, he said very confused. Ugh, he receives a sape. Asuma, hey, that little word, she said seriously and was the one who gave the sape to Issei. Shu, you see, it's a bit complicated, but why don't we go to a quieter place? He said seriously. They both agreed and Asuna reluctantly took him home. Asuna's house living room. You can see the 5 people sitting and drinking their tea that Asuna prepared. Inori, now let's take it easy and explain the situation to us, she said seriously while looking at her tea. Shu, well, let's start, he said seriously while slowly placing the cup on the table. You see, our objective was to return to the past, but I never imagined that we would be transported to another dimension, he said seriously. Asuna, well, the question is why did you want to go back in time, she said seriously. Shu, it was to avoid a catastrophe that affected both the supernatural world and the human world, he said seriously. Issei, wait, you mean the human world, he said surprised while the emerald-colored jewel appears in his hand, indicating that Drake is also listening to the conversation. Shu, yes, approximately 10 years before the human world received a meteorite impact, which changed history forever. That meteorite contained a dangerous power, which took over humans. With the passage of time, humans realized that containing that meteorite power, humanity began to be affected. Their bodies became almost crystals. Meanwhile, some humans who were not affected and due to their pride wanted to reach the beyond of humanity, where they discovered the supernatural world. And you know what the worst thing is? Humans discovered that God no longer exists. He said seriously. Asuna, wait, as if God no longer exists, she said in doubt. Shoo, that's right, no one knows the cause of his death, but that made the humans' pride increase, leading to the consequences, he said seriously while closing his eyes and waiting a few more seconds and opening his eyes. They started a mega war between the supernatural world and the human world, leading to their destruction on both sides, he said seriously. Asuna, what happened to humanity if it is supposed to be the weakest race? She said seriously. Shoo, there are humans who are infected by the power, there are humans who continue their lives, but there is also discrimination. Humans who are infected are treated badly while the humans who are well give them all the benefits that they cannot have, he said seriously. And about your answer, there are different groups of human clans with different abilities that they won thanks to that meteorite, he said seriously. Inori, I see, so all of that was caused by a meteorite. If that meteorite hadn't reached Earth, everything would still be normal, wouldn't it? She said seriously. Shoo, that's why we want to go back to the past, he said seriously. Ha ha ha, but I see that nothing can be done about it, he said seriously. Inori, I suppose you want us to help you, right? She said seriously. Shoo, yes, lately I'm battling with an enemy who is too powerful, even knowing that there are so many powerful existences. He doesn't care since he is only focused directly on me and I don't know his reason, he said seriously. Issei, an enemy that doesn't matter to others, that sounds weird, he said seriously. Inori, and what will happen if I go? She said seriously. Issei, wait Inori, don't you think that would be a little dangerous? He said surprised. Shoo, you must be aware of what you are about to experience, he said surprised. Inori, I know, she said as if it were nothing. Shoo, ha ha ha, it's okay, but as you see Himuraji, he said in doubt. Yukaina, to be honest, I never imagined myself like that, she said surprised. Shoo, okay, we'll accept it, but it would be starting tomorrow, as you see, he said calmly. Everyone nodded. Asuna handed over 2 empty rooms for Shoo and Yukaina to use while in the living room. Issei, let's see, are you sure you're going to that place where there are wars? He said uneasily. Besides, we don't know if they are trustworthy, he said seriously. Asuna, I'm sorry to be nosy, but don't you think it's too much of an exaggeration to go to that place? She said calmly. Inori, I don't know why, but I feel like I have to go to that place, she said seriously. Tell me, Issei. Asuna, do you want to come with me? She said calmly. Issei, but he said in doubt. Asuna, but I'm just a human, I'm not like you, she said in doubt. Inori, she stands up and takes out her 6 pairs of white wings, and her halo is noticeable as well as her wings. There are about 6 halos. She puts her hand together while creating a strong glow of light, making Issei and Asuna close their eyes. That will be enough, just let it enter her body, she said calmly. Issei/Asuna. They both look at each other and grab the golden feather, but out of nowhere it enters their body. Drake, that's impossible. How can a renegade demon turn into an angel out of nowhere? He said surprised. Asuna, what is that? Because I feel tingling, she said nervously. Inori, with that, both of them are already angels too, she said calmly. Asuna, wait, I'm also an angel, she said surprised. Inori, just look back, she said calmly. Asuna looks back and sees a pair of wings which surprises her even more. Issei, he stays in shock. For a moment, how come I became an angel if I didn't accept it? He said in shock. Inori, it's because when I tried to create a way to turn someone into an angel with that method, but I also realized that they awakened their own consciousness, which made them accept you without you deciding. In a few words, it could be said that you were destined to be an angel, she said calmly. Issei, but I was turned into a demon before dying, he said in doubt. Inori, it's like I told you, Issei, life can give you many surprises, she said happily while caressing Issei's face with one hand. Well, we should rest for tomorrow, she said calmly. They both accepted, but even though they were still in doubt about what had happened, The three of them went to rest for a new day. The next day, Shu saw Himuraji along with Issei, Inori, and Asuna. "Shu, I guess it's ready," he said seriously. The four, they nodded, giving the signal to start. "Shu, good," he said seriously while putting his palm towards the air as if trying to touch the air until you see how the place is distorted and a dimensional gap appears. Everyone enters without hesitation. Issei along with Asuna and Inori are surprised by a golden sphere, and the place seems empty. "Shu, in order to travel back in time, we passed over that place," he said seriously. Boom. "Yakaina, that movement is not normal," she said seriously. "Shu, impossible, the barrier must be strong enough, or at least someone intervened," he said seriously while watching the barrier breaking little by little. "Inori, Shu, how long until we arrive?" she said seriously. "Shu, it's impossible to get there on time," he said seriously while watching the barrier being completely destroyed. "Asuna, and what will happen to us?" she said scared, and Issei, "Watch out for you," she said worried. Issei looks back and sees a black hole and then looks at his companion who was slowly separating. "Yakaina, Shu-senpai," she said seriously. "Shu, damn you, they separated us, so everyone take care of themselves," annoyed scream as he was sucked into the black hole. "Issei, Inori, Asuna, take care, we will see each other again," serious cry while being sucked into the hole. Inori/Asuna, ISSEEI, worried scream. Each one was absorbed by a black hole. Meanwhile, in a distant place where there is a land full of destruction giving the signal of a fight. "Juju, I already separated them by order of our Lord," he said with an evil smile. With Issei. "Issei, what happened?" he said seriously while touching his head. "Drake, partner, are you okay?" he said seriously. Issei, "Yes, I'm just confused where I am," he said seriously. "Drake, that hole separated us from the others and took us to a dangerous place, and even if we don't know that terrain, you must also keep in mind that we are in another dimension," he said seriously. Issei, "Yes, haha, I don't know why Inori accepted it," he said seriously. "Drake, and you as lovebirds accompanying that woman," he said seriously. Issei, "I take back what I said," he said with a nervous smile. "Well, we just have to explore some places," he said seriously. Kaiouya. Issei, "And that scream comes from that direction," he said seriously as he takes out his dragon wings and flies towards that place. "Drake, partner, go down to that rock," he said seriously. Issei, "But she is," he said confused. "Drake, just do what I tell you," he said seriously. Issei, "Okay, that's fine," he said confused and goes down to a rock and sees in the distance a group of young people running, and behind him he saw some demons. "Wait, those are demons because he is going towards them. We must help him," he said seriously. "Drake, don't do it, scream in mind so they won't be discovered." Issei, "But Drake, are you going to do something to them?" he said seriously while looking at his hand, but when he changes his gaze it is something that froze in fear. The young people who tried to escape were reached, and their bodies were being torn to pieces, and he was also drowning in pain, and the demons began to eat the torn apart bodies of the young people. "What is that?" he said surprised. "Drake, I'm sorry brat, but look who's coming," he said seriously. Issei, all confused, he looks at that place and sees a vehicle approaching, and on one side he sees a creature running at high speed since they are the first to attack the demons. "What is that?" he said surprised. "Everything already eliminated. How are the survivors?" she said seriously. "I'm sorry, Captain, they couldn't stand the pain," he said with a little sadness. Issei, "Who are they?" he said seriously. "Drake, just by looking at them they are human, but they are not normal," he said seriously. Issei, "Well, you're right, it will be better to leave without attracting attention," he said seriously while trying to move, but he didn't notice that a piece of a stone fell from above. Here's the sound of the stone falling, which starts to move from one side to the other. "What's up?" she said seriously. "Something is hidden between us," he said seriously. The people who were there were surprised and began to look from one side to the other. "I found it," he said seriously. "What are you waiting for?" she said seriously while pulling the chain. Woer starts to run and jumps, which allows the brown-haired boy to see. Issei, damn, he already saw me, he said seriously while seeing that creature falling from the sky which he dodges. Hey, wait a moment, I don't know why you're attacking me, he said seriously. You must be the one to blame for the death of those people, she said seriously. Issei, first of all I arrived at that place but you arrived so you are responsible for the deaths of those people, he said seriously. I'd better get rid of you right away, she said seriously while flushing the toilet. Waoya runs towards Issei who tries to hit Issei. Issei, you leave me no other option, he said seriously while activating his gauntlets. He just limited himself to crouching and giving a punch to his opponent's stomach. Yoak falls to the ground while holding his stomach. She jumps to strike with her sword but was stopped and thrown away by the brown-haired boy. Issei, hey, why don't we talk first, he said seriously but then looks back and sees how someone starts shooting at him. Damn, he said seriously while dodging the bullets and heading towards her. I don't like hitting a woman but you don't give me a choice, he said seriously while approaching her and hitting her in the stomach causing her to fall in pain. Issei. He moves away from her but out of nowhere everything is covered by an unknown shadow and he looks up which surprises him. A big foot is on top of the chestnut tree. My goodness, but how big, he said surprised. Yoag. The giant foot falls on top of the chestnut tree but with his hands he stops it and tries to hold the weight so as not to be crushed. But how heavy, he said surprised. Ha 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 ha, you're calling me fat. Gets upset as he uses more force managing to crush me completely. Stop shoo shoo, she said seriously. Shoo shoo hi, she said calmly while raising her foot while you can see the chestnut all squashed. What he has in his hand looks strange, he said curiously while he transforms. What's wrong Yuki, she said seriously. Yuki, what is your hand that bright red, said curious. That, she said surprised. Impossible, it is supposed to cease to exist, she said seriously. Yuki, what's happening? He said curiously. Himari have strings, she said seriously. Himari, yes, she said seriously. Careful, we must take you to a safe place, she said seriously. Himari, but Captain, it wouldn't be a problem if we took him, she said in doubt. Letting that guy go free, and if someone finds out, it could lead to a new war, she said seriously. Himari, yes, at your command, she said seriously while she goes to grab him and calls Yuki to carry him and put him in her vehicle which goes at full speed to get to her headquarters. A few minutes later, the chestnut is seen being tied from the chest to its feet, making it impossible to move. Issei, where am I? He said in doubt. Drake, I'm not surprised to see my partner being defeated by a single stomp from a huge girl, he said disappointedly in his mind. Issei, look who's talking, he said annoyed in his mind. So you're already awake, she said seriously. Issei Yug sees 4 girls and a boy surrounded. What's happening? He said surprised. Well, first of all, my name is Kyokan Yuzun, he said seriously. Himari, my name is Himari Azuma, she said seriously. Shushu, my name is Shushu Saruga, she said seriously. My name is Eniayu Kawamura, she said calmly. Yuki, well, I'm Yuki Wakura, he said with determination. Issei, hello, nice to meet you. He said calmly but didn't finish speaking because he was interrupted. Kyokan, Haida Issei, or better known as Sekiryutai, the most wanted criminal and is the same person who started the Great War, she said seriously. Issei, he was speechless. Wait, what does that mean? How come I was the one who started the war? Wait, it won't be my other self. What the hell happened? I'm completely confused, he said in his mind surprised. I'm sorry, what do you mean by that? He said in doubt. Kyokan, don't act innocent. You don't know how much suffering we had to go through, not to mention the deaths of my comrades, she said annoyed. Issei, haha, okay, first of all let me clarify. First, I don't know what's going on, and second, what do you mean about the criminal who started the war, and third is that I don't belong in this world, he said seriously. Drake, asshole, you already screwed up, he said seriously in the brown-haired boy's mind while putting his hand on his face. Issei, damn it, I already caged him, he said in his mind. Shushu, what do you mean by that? She said seriously. Issei, well, you see, I fell into a dimensional gap and I arrived at that place. That is, where you found me, he said seriously. Himari, that red glove is supposed to have ceased to exist, she said seriously. Issei, you mean Yas Greer, he said seriously. On the other side, Inori sees a landscape full of flowers which wakes her up and she is a little confused. Inori, where am I? She said confused. Inori San screamed from afar. Inori looks at the address where he was called. Asuna, how are you? She said calmly. Asuna, I'm fine, but the question is where are we? She said seriously. Inori, this is the scenery of the 8th floor, she said seriously. Asuja, what do you mean? She said seriously. Inori, I mean we're in heaven, she said seriously. Asuna, how serious? She said surprised. Look, there are the intruders, serious cry. Asuna, oh no, she said uneasily as she watched hundreds of angels approaching them. Who dares to invade heaven? He said seriously while pointing his spear. Inori, Michael said seriously. Michael, he looks at Inori, but in the middle of nowhere he is surprised. How impossible, are you supposed to be dead? One of the characters who started the Great War, he said seriously. Asuna, let's see what's happening, I'm confused. She said confused. Michael, answer, how are you still alive? He said seriously. Inori, tell me why he says that I was the one who started the war. What do you mean by that? She said seriously. Wait, don't tell me that you have gone against humanity, she said surprised. Michael, that is none of your business. Besides, we cannot strengthen our power with the help of humans. We have our own method and humanity is just a cruel creation that the Lord created, he said seriously. Inori, that was the cruelest thing the Lord has ever created, she said seriously, and that's why you leave the poor humans being killed at your hands. Doesn't he have love and compassion for them? She said seriously while creating a spear of light. Michael, he can use light, he said surprised. Tell me who you are, he shouted angrily while attacking with an energy coming out of the spear. Inori puts a hand in front and creates a barrier which blocks the attack without problems. To all the angels and seraphim who went against the creation and the word of the Lord must be exiled from heaven forever, screamed seriously while pointing her spear at the sky. Michael, a mere dead human being, what can you do in heaven? You can't do anything, he said seriously. Inori, of course I can do something about it, serious shout as she lowers the sword of light and makes the point of the sword point to the ground. Because I am also an angel known as the angel of death, serious shout as she sticks the spear into the ground. Michael, impossible how a simple human can do that, also because he says he is an angel even if it is about the same death. He said surprised while sweating with fear as he saw how his angels are being tied by chains and being pulled into a void that is below the angels. Asuna just stared while sweating cold. Inori, tell me Seraphim Michael, what have you done in heaven because it feels very different, she said seriously. Michael, what do you mean? Very different, he said seriously. Inori, tell me Seraph Michael, tell me that you have not taken power to control the system, she said seriously while pointing at him. Michael, what do you mean? He said seriously. Inori, do I have to tell you that you are very different from the other angels? I feel a little power from the Lord. Tell me, why did you do that? She said seriously. Michael, that is none of your business, you can't do anything, and I have and can do whatever I want with the power of the Lord, who was the one who gave me his power, gave me his trust to take care of heaven, he said seriously. Inori, Asuna, don't go away, she said seriously. Asuna, yes, she said in doubt as she approaches her side and sees how Inori uses a magic circle. Inori, keep in mind Seraphim Michael, I'll come for you to eliminate you, she said seriously as she disappears. Michael, damn, I should have killed her before she left, he said seriously in his mind while he was nervous and sweating cold. With Shu and Himuraji. In the city. You see the two people running at the same time, covering so that their enemy does not discover them, but even if they continued on their way until they reached that place. Yukaina, Issei senpai, do you think they will be okay? She said in doubt. Issei, Have a little confidence, Himuraji, they are not weak. If you felt their presence, it is because they did not gain enough battlefield experience, he said seriously. Stop, who's there? Hands up, he said seriously. Issei, it's not necessary, it's us, he said seriously. Issei, damn, you're stupid, we almost blew your head off, he said seriously. Issei, where are the others? Argo, he said seriously. Argo, we are at a critical point, he said seriously. Yakina, what do you mean? She said worriedly. Argo, he's gay, he said seriously. Issei, he didn't say anything, he just increased his presence a little, giving the signal that he is very upset. Argo, take me where the others are, he said seriously. Argo, yes, follow me, he said seriously while guiding the way. Issei along with Yakina and the boy walked towards that place where the others were. Suda Tamidate, look, Issei arrived, he said happily looking up where the entrance was, causing everyone to applaud. It's a pleasure to see you again, Issei-san, he said seriously. Issei, yes, Ajuka Belzebub is back, he said seriously. Tsugumi, tell me, your system still works, he said seriously. Tsugumi, yes, it works, but what does she want it for? She said seriously. Issei, okay, listen up everyone, the mission I went to do failed, serious shout. The room became completely silent. Soldier, how impossible, how is it that, he said in shock. Issei, yes, the mission failed. I too thought that we managed to travel to the past, but in reality it wasn't like that. I arrived in a parallel dimension, a world similar to ours but completely different, serious cry. Soldier, what do you mean by different world? He shouted angrily knowing that his friend's sacrifices were in vain. Issei, in addition to that, hope has not yet diminished since 3 people offered to come and support us. But unfortunately, someone forced us to separate because of that. I need your help to locate those people and send forces. Hope has not yet ended, serious cry. Tsugumi, and who are those people? She said in doubt. Issei, I only limit myself to using magic to give the images of the 3 people. Everyone was speechless as they never imagined seeing 2 people who have made their mark on history. Eyes. Because there are 2 Haida Issei, he said in shock while looking at the photo and the person who is giving the order. Issei, speaking of which, he said seriously making everything catch his attention, from today on I will only be known as Shuobama, he said seriously while changing his appearance. Tsugumi, I leave it to you, let me know if you find something. I will be in the room to rest for a while, he said seriously as he went to a room to train and rest for a while. Ajuka, you know what you mean, you're leaving all the responsibilities to that boy, he said seriously as he entered the room. Issei, in order to fulfill one of my revenges to come out of hiding, but I couldn't because everyone managed to identify me, but now not everyone will focus on him while I will try to fulfill my revenge, so I will assume the responsibility. If he decides to kill a god, go ahead, I will carry the weight of responsibility, he said seriously. Ajuka, he just limited himself to watching. Issei, you must be aware of all the weight you have carried. Not everyone knows what happened that day that marked the end of the war. Something completely changed history. A stranger who is only after you, Issei. Now that those 3 people arrived, I wonder what will happen in the future. Do you think there will be a possibility that a new war will start, or will that stranger come out of hiding to attack all existences? He said seriously in his mind as he remembered what happened that day. Issei, I hope my other self doesn't mind the trouble it will give him, he said seriously. Chapter 14. We will meet again. Asuna opened her eyes and saw that they were in a different place, and asked Inori where they were. Asuna, Inori-san, where are we? She said in doubt. Inori, I really don't have the slightest idea, she said calmly. Asuna, I see that we have to move. Wait, that's a town, she said in doubt. Inori, let's go, she said as if nothing happened while walking towards the village. Asuna, oh wait, we don't know what they are there, she said surprised. With Issei. The brown-haired boy is still being arrested by those girls. Himari, and what else are you going to do? She said seriously. Issei, well, I have to look for my other 2 partners, he said calmly. Now I see you have an interesting conversation, he said happily. Everyone will look back, just like the brown-haired boy looks behind the girls, which is when 3 other girls appear. Izumo, Tenka, what are you doing here? She said seriously. Tenka, now I see that you have caught the most wanted criminal. Do you know what that means? She said calmly. Izumo, yes, I know that, she said seriously. Tenka, Hyder Issei, the most wanted criminal. I never imagined seeing him in person, he said with a smile. Issei, because it reminds me that she is similar to the crazy Akeno, he said, surprised in his mind. Drake, partner, for the first time I agree with you, he said, surprised to see his way of speaking. With Issei, or rather Shu, is seen sitting reading some documents. Shu, tell me, if we do that, do you think there's a chance that it will turn out well? He said seriously. The truth is we haven't confirmed it well, he said seriously. Shu, then confirm things well first, he said seriously. Soldier, hi, he said firmly. Issei, happy scream. Shu, I already told you it's Shu, he said seriously. I'm so boring, I came to tell you that I found it, she said seriously. Shu, he already found it, he said seriously. Yes, but unfortunately I only found those 2 girls, and let's say that it's not a good territory, she said seriously while giving her tablet. Shu, I see you arrived in a bad place, which is the territory of the Pendragon family, he said seriously. With Asuna and Inori. Both girls were walking towards the place, but there is something that they encounter which dodges the attack. Asuna, almost, she said scared. Inori, who is there? She said seriously. Stop there, who are you? Screams seriously. Asuna, stop, we don't want fights, she screams nervously while raising her hands, giving the signal that she wasn't looking for fights. Who are you? He said, would you be? Asuna, my name is Asuna, I am an angel. Inori a seraphim, said Sirius. Are angels perhaps coming to destroy us? She said seriously and upset. Inori, you're wrong. We escaped from an ambush by the angels a while ago. She said seriously. Can you tell us your name? She said seriously. Alice Pendragon, she said seriously. Asuna, Pendragon, said surprised. Alice, show me that they don't come with the intention of destroying us, she said seriously. Inori, if it were us, I would have killed you already, she said seriously. Alice, haha, you're right, even I can't fully confront a high-class angel, she said defeated, serious while lowering her sword. In the Dxd world at night, 2 girls were seen walking while talking. I can't believe that when Inori-sama arrived everything was changing, he said in disbelief. Yes, Hyodo is supposed to be a member of the Gremory clan, but now he is next to her, he said in doubt. Wait, she said seriously. What's going on? He said in doubt, looking at the place. I don't feel it. The atmosphere feels strange, she said seriously. Now that you think about it, you're right, she said seriously. Tomo-chan, we must inform Kaicho, she said seriously. Tomo, wait, Tsubasa-san, what is that? She said seriously while pointing to a place where the leaves are seen moving in one direction. Tsubasa, I don't know, but it's not sure, she said seriously. Hey Tomo, wait, she said seriously when she saw her partner heading to that place. Tomo, how strange, that place feels very different, she said seriously. Tsubasa, hey, that's dangerous, she said seriously. We have to go, she said seriously while turning around to return to where she was. Tomo, yes, I'm coming, she said seriously while turning around, but there is something she didn't realize. The 2 Citri demons tried to return, but there is something that no one noticed. A portal opens out of nowhere. The 2 girls are surprised and turn around. Tomo, who was closest, felt that the same portal was absorbing him. Tsubasa, Tomo, give me your hand, she said worriedly when she saw her partner being absorbed. Tomo, I tried to reach you but it won't let me, she said scared. Tsubasa, TKS, there is no other option, she said seriously while looking for something but sees a roll of barbed wire which she grabs and sees that it is held by a tree. She did not hesitate and jumps to reach her partner, but it was too late. Her partner disappeared along with the portal and falls to the ground. No, that can't be, she said with a scared face as she looked at her hand that was cut by the spikes while a little blood came out. With Inori. You see the two angels and in front is a blonde girl. Alice, so Angelus, what are you looking for? She said seriously. Inori, we just wanted to know where we are, she said seriously. Alice, well, in just one small town where I protect, she said seriously. Asuna, so this village is protected by the Pendragon family, she said seriously. You are wrong, this town is not protected by the Pendragon family, he said sadly. Inori, you are, she said calmly looking at the old man. I am just a mayor and to answer your question this town has no protection other than Princess Pendragon, he said sadly. But if you are lost why don't you come in and I will offer you a plate of food, he said sadly. With Issei. The brown-haired boy is seen being surrounded by many girls. Issei, excuse me, are there only girls or are there boys too? He said in doubt as he looked at the girls and then looked at the boy. Kyuka, for your information, they are just pure girls and boys are useless, she said seriously. Yuki, oh, he said slightly hurt by his mistress's words. Re thing. An alarm started ringing making everyone alert. Kyuka, an alert alarm NEI, what is the information? She said seriously. NEI, there it tells me that almost 10 kilometers to the southeast, those involved are enchanted, she said seriously while looking at her tablet. Kyuka, TKS it's almost far we won't make it, she said seriously. Tinka, now what happens if I help you? He said with a smile as a portal appears behind him. Kyuka, good idea but there is something I can't leave, she said seriously as she watched Issei crawling like a worm towards the exit. Tinka, that's no problem you can Sahara, he said with a smile. Sahara, hi, she said happily as she walks towards Issei and carries him on her shoulder. Issei, if I hadn't gotten used to being carried by Kaneko, I would feel bad being carried by an unknown girl, he said with sadness in his mind. Drake scared, he said mockingly. They all entered the portal which took them to an unknown place but they were also surprised that there was a person fighting against the creatures. Issei, wait for that presence, he said surprised while sitting but still tied up. Kyuka, who is that woman? She said seriously while watching how she eliminated the last one. Woman, young man, thank you very much, you just saved us, she said while crying and hugging her daughter. Don't worry, she said tired. Kyuka, Hui. Serious shout, who are you? Are you part of the demons? Said seriously, who was riding on her slave. Hey wait, what do you mean? She screamed seriously, wait a minute, who is that? Sounds familiar to me, she said in doubt, knowing that his presence seems familiar. Sahara. The girl sees that she was trying to see who the person she was carrying was but she didn't bother and turned around. Hayada! Screamed surprised. Issei, hello Tomo, he said with a nervous smile. Tomo, what's going on, why are you like that? He said in doubt. Issei, you see, there are many things to talk about, he said with a nervous smile. With Inori. Inori along with Asuna accepted the mayor's request and went in to sit down and eat, while the old man explained to her. Old man, true, about 10 years ago humanity was filled with chaos. Countless races of different mythology tried to take over this land but we were saved by the king, one of the heirs of King Arthur. But then he began to ask us to pay an exaggerated tax but since we didn't have one he abandoned us to luck. Thanks to luck no one came to attack us except a few demons but they were eliminated thanks to Alice-sama and Mox-sama, he said sadly. Asuna, I can't believe it, being abandoned out of nowhere must have been difficult, she said surprised. Alice, well, it's the truth. When I found out about that, I told my father that I would take care of that village, but he simply ignored me. She said seriously. Inori, what's the reason he ignored you? She said in doubt while blowing on her coffee. Alice, the truth is that the only one who appreciates me is my mother, but as for my father, he says that he is very disappointed in me for being a girl and not a boy like he wanted, she said seriously. Asuna, well, what I understand is that before, nobles viewed women with contempt, even seeing them as sexual objects. She said seriously. Alice, and you are not wrong, In Britain women are always harassed by men, she said with contempt. Inori, I doubt you can't control your sword Excalibur, right? She said seriously. Alice, wait a minute, how do you know about Excalibur? She said surprised. Inori, I have seen everything from the beginning of humanity until now, but there is something you should know, she said seriously. On the other side. You see a place full of big trees and there you could see a blonde girl with a witch hat. Onai-sama. Vala-sama. Where are they? She shouted to know the location. Heavens, where they must have been killed, she said seriously. Seo, where the hell are you? Annoyed scream. Is there anyone else here? She said confused as she walked and found a blonde girl. Both blonde girls stare at each other, and are surprised since they both know who they were. It didn't take even a minute for both girls to start fighting. The magician casts a spell on the other girl which she covers with the trees, but she doesn't stay behind and also counterattacks with her sword. Well, both girls defend themselves using the trees until they were left without defense, both ending up looking face to face. The magician girl was kneeling while she had a sword at her neck, and the other girl was pointing her sword at the girl's neck, but she didn't move a millimeter since she sees a wand pointing at her stomach in the direction of her heart, and was ready to cast the spell. I never imagined seeing you here, Le Fate Pendragon, she said seriously. I'm the same as Jeanne d'Arc, he said with a smile. Jeanne, well, you know where we are. That place seems strange to me, she said seriously while withdrawing the sword. Le Fate, I say the same, he said in doubt. I only remember that I touched an unknown portal, but in the end I was absorbed, he said in doubt. Jeanne, you too? Screams in surprise. Even I was sucked in too, she said in surprise. Leafy, wait for that, he said in doubt. Jeanne, it means, she said in doubt. Le Fate/Jeanne, we were transported to an unexplored and unknown place. Shock scream. Chapter 15. We will meet again and a new war is about to begin. Dxd world. It is the world where Issei grew up, and it is where he met Asuna and Inori. Alter world. It is the world where Issei and his companion arrived along with Shu and Yakaina. World Dxd. In Kut the Academy. A blue-haired girl is seen walking with her face fallen as she arrived at her classroom, which she enters and sees a black-haired girl with glasses sitting at her desk, not only her but all her members. Kaicho, come back, he said without enthusiasm. Sona, you're late. Yura, Tomo, she said seriously but received no response. Yura, Tomo, what's wrong? Yura, where is Tomo? She said seriously. Yura, that's what I was talking about. Kaicho, Tomo has disappeared, she said without enthusiasm. The room was ruled by silence. Ruruko, what was Tomo-chan? She said without a word. Sona, what do you mean? Explain, she said annoyed as she stood up abruptly. Yura, it was my fault. Tomo told me to leave that place, but I didn't listen to him. Suddenly a portal appeared which absorbed Tomo, she said, wanting to cry. It's my fault she died, she said while crying, and falls to the ground. Sona, TKS, what's going on? She said seriously while creating her magic circle which makes a box appear. Tsubaki, Kaicho said seriously as she watched him open the box and take out 2 horse pieces. Sona, you don't have to worry, Yura. As you can see, I have 2 horses, one was used and the other was not. Here it shows that she is still alive, she said seriously. Yura, seeing her mistress's knight's piece, she sees that one was dull and the other was, implying that she was still alive. Sona, now take me where that happened, she said seriously. Yura, one of the Sona pieces, agreed to take her mistress to the place where this strategy occurred. Sona, it's definitely here, she said seriously. I hope it's something important, Sona, she said calmly. Sona, I would like to ask you something, Rias, she said seriously. Sona, along with her entourage, explains to Rias and her entourage what happened with one of her pieces. Rias, I'm not surprised by the disappearance. I even lost contact with Issei since he went with that pigeon, she said seriously and upset. But that this has happened to one of his pieces is something I can't believe, she said seriously. Kaneko, do you think you can detect something? She said seriously. Kaneko, I'm taking care of that myself. but Tsubasa-senpai is right. That area feels very different from other areas. It's like someone opened a door out of nowhere," she said seriously while her Nikomata trait was outside and touching the ground. Everything was silent as I never imagined that someone could sneak into the territory without realizing it. "Rias, it seems that we are going to have to report," she said seriously. An hour later. A man is seen all surprised, and next to him were 3 demon kings. "So the Knight of Sona Citri disappeared," he said seriously after having heard what happened. "It must be a work of chaos and I pay for it dearly," she said seriously. "Seraphal, you have to calm down, we don't know exactly what happened," he said calmly. "Ajuka is right," he said seriously. "Seraphal," but she said uneasily. "Sirzex, it seems we have a call," he said seriously as he saw that a magic circle of angels was appearing in the room. "Sirzex, yes, I already saw Azazel. What is the reason for your call, Michael Dano?" he said seriously. "Michael, I seriously apologize for entering the Security's house like that," he said calmly. "Rias, don't worry, but what's the reason for your call?" she said calmly. "Michael, and by chance I managed to hear that one of Sona-san's pieces disappeared," he said calmly. "Azazel, that's why he asked," he said seriously. "Michael, the truth is something serious since I can't track down Inori's presence. What I just heard only has a small probability that Issei-kun along with Inori disappeared in that portal," he said seriously. The entire room fell silent as no one could believe what Michael was saying. "Azazel, now that I think about it, Inori took Issei when she lost consciousness and disappeared. No one knows where they went," he said seriously. "Rias, I knew that pigeon was not trustworthy," she said seriously in her mind. Alter world. With Inori. Inori is seen together with Asuna sitting watching the sky during the night. "Asuna, Inori-san, how does it feel to be someone who was created 1,000 years ago and live until today?" she said in doubt. "Inori, I only remember since I was created by my father. I have been at the moment when the first angel fell to hell. I have been since the first fallen angel fell to earth. I have been when Adam and Eve were expelled from the sacred land," she said calmly. "Asuna, I wonder who that angel is that expelled them. I mean, I'm just curious," she said in doubt. "Inori, it was me, by order of my father, who taught me to use my death ability for the first time. I expelled Lucifer and one of my other brothers expelled Azazel," she said calmly. "Asuna, tell me how it feels to use that ability," she said in doubt. "Inori, I would lie to you that I am always fine, but in reality it gives a somewhat sad feeling. I can see the destiny of each person," she said calmly while looking at the people who were walking from one side to the other. "For example, that human will not be here tomorrow," she said calmly. "Asuna, and they still look young," she said, a little surprised. "Inori, I don't even know how he will die," she said seriously. "Asuna, I mean, you can see how much time he has left to live, and you can," she said calmly. "Inori, eliminate without leaving wounds," she said calmly. "Asuna, wow, that is something complicated to understand you," she said with little doubt. Inori laughs. "Asuna, hey, don't laugh," she said embarrassed. "Inori, nobody understands my way of seeing the world. The world is beautiful, but it is also cruel. The world gives surprises, but it also brings misfortunes. It is something that nobody understands what I speak about," she said sadly while looking at the dark sky. "Here is Asuna-senpai, Inori-senpai. Here I bring you a coffee and a slice of cake," she said calmly. "Asuna, excuse me, you are," she said in doubt but did not finish speaking as she was interrupted. "My name is Mashturilite. Alice-senpai told me that you were here and that's why I brought you coffee and a slice of cake," she said with a smile. With Issei. You see the chestnut already being released while everyone was talking. "Issei, I'm very sorry, she's one of my classmates," he said calmly. "And well, Mayuri-san, how did you get here?" he said in doubt. "Mayuri, well, the truth is that I saw a portal. I just approached it, but that same portal absorbed me and brought me here," she said in doubt. "Kyuka, that explains how people get here," she said seriously. "We should inform the barracks," she said seriously. "Tenka, I don't think so since you have Hayato Issei nearby. If they find out, they might brand you a traitor, she said seriously. Issei looks to the side. Yuki, something is wrong Hayato-san, he said in doubt. Issei, for some reason I feel like something is coming, he said seriously. Everyone remained serious while watching a person coming towards them. Hey Amuto, he said happily while hugging Yuki. Yuki, one-sama said surprised. Meguri, you're stupid, Huadu, you almost scared us, she said seriously. Wait, said Hayadu, he said seriously while looking from one side to the other. Yuki, what's wrong one-sama, he said surprised. Where is Hayadu, she said seriously while grabbing her brother's shoulders. Yuki, he is behind you, he said while pointing. Turns to look in that direction where he sees Issei but does not hesitate to attack him. Drake, Issei cover you, serious scream. Issei, he didn't react but received a kick which made him fly away. Damn you, what are you trying to do to my brother, screamed seriously while attacking with his brutal force. Issei, wait, I don't know what you're talking about, he said seriously while dodging the attacks. Meguri, Hayato, what did you do to make him attack you, she said surprised. Issei, you want to help me instead of standing there watching me, he said angrily looking at his partner as if he was all surprised. Takes advantage of the opening and hits him in the face, causing the brown-haired boy to fall to the ground while his nose bleeds. Now you're going to die, she said seriously as she tried to hit him but stops as she sees that someone got in the way. If it was her brother Yuki. Yuki, what are you doing, she said seriously. Kyuka, you're crazy, you almost died at the hand of your sister, she screamed seriously while pointing her sword at Yuki's sister and stands next to Yuki. She looks around and finds that everyone was standing around her preparing to attack if she decides to make a move. Yuki, can you tell me what happened to make you attack like that? He said seriously. I've waited for 4 years to find that bastard who brought me here for a stupid fight. I will never forget that face, that name, Hayato Issei, the most wanted criminal, she said seriously. I want revenge because of him I lost my freedom, she said seriously while lowering her fist. Everyone understood what she meant as she explained how she abandoned her humanity in order to survive. Yuki, I know sister, but that is not the person you are looking for, he said seriously. What do you mean? She said seriously while clenching her fist, making it bleed. Yuki, along with the help of his companions, managed to explain the situation, indicating that he and that girl do not belong to that world but in another multiverse dimension, causing her to be surprised and calm down, even apologizing for having attacked him in that way. Issei, I understand, it's not necessary. I know you feel bad about the way it ended, he said seriously while rubbing his face where he received the blow. With Inori. The sky looked bright from the sun that indicated dawn was breaking while the town was in a bit of a commotion. Asuna, who heard what Inori said about the boy's destiny, now believes him more and gives him more respect than before, letting it be known that everything he said came true. Asuna, well Inori, where are we going? She said calmly. Inori, let's go find Issei, she said calmly. Alice, I already spoke with the boss, I'll go with him on the way, he'll surely want to have someone to guide him, right? She said calmly as she prepared herself. Mash, I hope I'm not a burden, she said seriously while leaning. Asuna, don't worry, she said nervously. Although I'm the one who will be a burden since I abandoned my sword training, she said nervously. Inori, along with the others, Asuna, Alice and Mash, said goodbye to the town and began their journey in search of Issei and the others. They were talking to each other but stopped when they saw how the place lit up out of nowhere and felt a strong explosion behind them, causing them to fall due to the force of the air caused by the explosion. Asuna, what happened? She said worriedly while her hair was almost covered in leaf litter. Mash, Alice-senpai there, she said scared. Alice, it's not where I came from, she said worried. Mash/Alice, the village, she screamed scared. Both did not hesitate to run towards that place. Asuna and Inori did not hesitate. They took out their wings and headed to that place. The 4 girls arrived at that place but they were paralyzed because the town that had innocent people were killed by those explosions. Alice, no, what happened? Who did it? She said, scared as she falls to the ground. Asuna, who was it? She said, scared. Inori, up in the sky, he said seriously, looking at the sky, seeing a group of people. The three girls did not hesitate to look at the sky and see a group of people. Alice gets upset and takes out her sword. Michael, she screamed as tears came out, knowing that she failed them, and countless memories come to her since the day she arrived at that place where no one treated her well. She remembers where she rescued the town from a demon attack which people began to accept. She remembers where she met Mash. She remembers where she had shared a lot of joy and happiness, and her last memory was their last smiles that they showed her when she had left the town. Michael, thanks Delio, those humans were already sinners. They should have been punished, he said seriously. Delio, when I mentioned the human Inori, I never imagined seeing her again, especially if she's an angel, he said seriously as his body began to emit electricity. The group of angels were descending from heaven until they touched the earth. But at that moment Alice launched herself to attack, but was attacked by rays created by one of the angels. Delio, calm down human, someone like you cannot touch the seraphim, he said seriously while holding his hand, giving the signal that he was the one who attacked. Michael, Delio, do it now, there is no need to leave him alive, they are sinners, he said seriously. Delio, at your command, he said seriously while creating more electricity and throwing it towards the girl. Alice, she was getting up with difficulty since that attack had numbed her body, but someone stood in front of her and stopped the attack, making a metal bang sound. Michael, so it's one of the sacred gears, the Camelot shield, he said seriously. Mash, I won't let him do that again, she said seriously. Delio, then there is no need to worry, he said seriously. He creates a sword of light covered in rays in his hand and launches himself towards her. Inori Asuna said seriously. Asuna, at first she didn't understand, but after a second she understands and goes to where Mash and Alice are, putting themselves in front and creating a sword of light, managing to stop the Delio angels' attack. Michael, warriors to them, he said seriously while pointing at that group. With Issei. After they were able to explain the situation to Yuki's sister, they all returned to the base, but not inside but outside, since that base has a barrier preventing enemies like Yuki's sister from entering. They were going to continue talking but were interrupted. Kyuka-sama, there is an emergency that everyone should know about, she said scared. Kyuka, what's the emergency? Nei, she said seriously. Nei, I just received a report from the barracks indicating that we should be on high alert since they managed to detect a power coup, she said scared. Issei, it's true, when we were talking to my sister I felt a surge of power. It's like my body was warning me that a great danger was approaching, he said seriously. Meguri, and why didn't you say before? She said uneasily. Issei, I wanted to find out if what I felt was my imagination, he said seriously. Meguri, tell me, did you manage to identify the owner of that power? She said seriously. Issei, I'm sorry, I can't identify the presences, it's as if they were divine, he said seriously and thoughtfully. Nei, and you are not wrong, they informed me that they are already at war again, she said worried. Tenka, there could only be one reason, she said seriously. Kyuka, it could be that a new war is about to start again, she said seriously. Alter world. In the underworld. You can see the demon king sitting on the chair. Lucifer Leviathan is standing there and looking out. While a chair was broken, that chair belonged to Beelzebub, but after he spread the news that Beelzebub betrayed the underworld, Lucifer destroyed the chair, giving the signal of a loose traitor. Well, Seraphil Leviathan, what news do you have? He said seriously. Seraphil, there are more demons that are betraying the underworld, but don't worry, we have already stopped them, and we are giving them a serious punishment, she said seriously looking at the red-haired boy. Asmodeus, what news do you have? He said seriously. Asmodeus, just as you ordered Surzex, women are treated as objects to give birth to demon children, and even more so the priest we managed to create. There are women who have been able to give birth to 2 or 3 children at most, he said seriously. And you, Surzex, what news do you bring? He said seriously while grabbing some leaves. Surzex, I heard from a spy I sent to the human world that there are 3 people who do not belong to our world, he said seriously. Seraphil/Esmond, what? Said surprised. Sirzex, if it's someone we never thought those possibilities could happen, he said seriously. I mean Hayata Issei, he said seriously. Seraphil, but isn't it the one we're looking for throughout our existence? She said seriously while clenching her fist with nerves. Sirzex, so that the Security understands, he said seriously. Seraphil/Esmond, they remained silent as they never imagined that would happen. Sirzex, well, with that we finish the meeting. Everyone go do your job and make sure that no one dares invade the underworld, much worse that the School Dxd repeats itself, he said seriously while watching how the other Mao got up and left without saying a single word. Sirzex-sama, I'm sorry I took your coffee, she said seriously while her hands shook from pain. Sirzex, he kept his eyes closed but then opened them and he hit, and quickly got up, saw the maid and raised his hand covered in the power of destruction, beating the girl. You are a good-for-nothing imbecile, he screamed seriously as he saw the maid fall to the ground. Stares at the ground as he watches tears fall to the ground along with blood as he brings one of his hands to his face, and sees that his nose was bleeding. I'm sorry Sirzex-sama, screams crying trying to defend himself. Sirzex, you're a bucking good-for-nothing useless maid, get out if you don't want me to send you to the dungeon, he shouted angrily as he kicked the maid in the head. He tried to cover his head with his hand but it was useless, he had nothing to support himself on the ground. His face ended up being hit on the floor until it bled. Sirzex, get out, annoyed scream as he kicks her in the butt treating her like a dog. He sees the maid who quickly stands up and walks away as ordered, looks at the floor and sees that there is a blood stain. He calls another maid to clean it, which the maid did quickly so as not to end up the same as her partner. Before leaving he sees how the maid cleans the blood with the edge of her skirt since she did not have a rag and even if she did not care and leaves. On the other side of the room, you can see the maid leaning against the wall while crying in pain. She heads to her room which was full of dried grass. The maid heads towards the bed which was made of grass, which she lay down on in pain. She cried while wiping the blood from her eyes with a rag. Crayawak. The maid gets up quickly and full of fear. Grafia-chan, are you there? He said a little sad. Grafia, it's you, Eleanor, she said with fear as she tried to calm her breathing. Eleanor, why did you take so long? If you hadn't taken so long, you wouldn't have ended up like this, she said seriously while washing the part where the blood marks on his face were but then using healing magic. Grafia, I was nervous, my nerves have never gone away, she said nervously and scared. With Seraph. The black-haired girl looks very upset and nervous. Who had gone to her parents' house at that moment she goes to a room where she could see her parents and her sister along with their entourage. Lord Citri, what happened Seraphil-sama? What is it that makes you act like that? He said seriously. Seraphil, first of all the servants, including Sona's entourage, should withdraw, as should your Saji Genshuro, she said seriously. The maids who were there just bowed and quietly retreated but the aforementioned Saji did not want to go but was forced out by Seraphil who was aiming with an ice stake. Seraphil, just do it and I'll create a powerful anti-sound barrier. First of all, I called them to tell them something in the not-too-distant future. There are chances that a new war is about to begin, she said seriously. Those who were inside the barriers were the Patriarch Citri, his sister, and his entourage, meaning Saji, who was taken out, were left in shock. Lady Citri, what do you mean by that there will be a new war? He said in shock since as a patriarch he knows that his attack power, that is, his army is weak. Seraphil, we should ask him that, she said seriously while creating a magic circle until a person appears to speak as if it were a call. What happened, Seraphil? We were only supposed to call when it was something very urgent, he said seriously. Seraphil, Ajuka, I want you to explain to me what you mean when a new Security appeared, he said seriously. Ajuka, how do you know about that, he said seriously. Seraphil, Lucifer told me worse, he said in a cold voice. Ajuka, ha, I guess I was a little careless and I came in as a spy. Well, to summarize this new Security that you mentioned, he is not the Issei that we know, In a few words, he belongs to another dimension, an unknown world, he said seriously. The room was silent as they did not understand about the new security about other worlds, but what Ajuka is going to say is the one that will leave the most in shock. Ajuka, and not only that, 2 other people also arrived. One is a lower-ranking angel and the other is a seraphim and has another name known as the Angel of Death, he said seriously, looking at everyone as they were in shock by the information he is giving them. And his name of the lower-ranking angel is called Asuna, and the Angel of Death is called Inori Yuzuriha, he said seriously. All Inori what?
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.